Chapter 55. Lu Ming, I haven't seen you for a few months. You really didn't disappoint me. Mulin's had a playful smile on her face as she looked at Lu Ming with her big eyes. She didn't look as serious as before. Looking at Mulin's up close, her figure was even more alluring. Smelling the fragrance coming from Mulin's, Lu Ming's heart thumped. Elder Mulin's, why did you ask me to stay? Mulin smiled. No need to be so formal. My senior sister. Senior sister Mu. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Lu Ming, you've caused quite a lot of trouble. You've obtained the title of newcomer king the moment you entered the sect. To be honest, it's really out of my expectations. Mulin's carefully looked at Lu Ming for a while and revealed a curious expression. In the trial, you killed Duanmuju, right? That's right. Lu Ming didn't hide it. In fact, this matter was easy to guess. There was no need to hide it. I knew it, but you have to be careful. Duanmuju is a rare genius of the Duanmu family. The Duanmu family won't let you off so easily. Also, are you confident in challenging Ningfeng? Mulin's said worriedly. 60 to 70%. Lu Ming said. 60 to 70%? Looks like you're very confident. Mulin's looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Lu Ming smiled. You should know a little about Ningfeng's strength. But do you know that Ningfeng's father is the chief elder of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard? Mulin's asked. I know. Lu Ming nodded. He knew this from Hua Qi, although the elders of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect were divided into ordinary elders, silver-robed elders, and golden-robed elders. Silver-robed elders and golden-robed elders were elders with real power. As for ordinary elders, many of them were empty positions and didn't have much power. However, among the ordinary elders, there was a type of elder who also had a lot of power. That was the chief elder. The chief elder was the highest level of ordinary elders, second only to the silver-robed elder. Of course, his cultivation was also very high. Lu Ming had heard from Feng Wu that Mulin's was one of the chief elders of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. However, there is one thing that you definitely don't know. Ningfeng's father has long since joined the Duanmu family. Therefore, this time, the Duanmu family will definitely support Ningfeng with all their might. Ningfeng was already at the peak of the 6th level of the Martial Master Realm. What I'm most afraid of is that he will break through during this period of time. Mulan said with a solemn expression. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. Lu Ming looked at Mulin's eagerly. He only had 700 contribution points left. It was too difficult for him to use them. It was better to borrow some for later. 3,000 contribution points. What do you need so many contribution points for? You were rewarded with 7,000 contribution points in the newcomer trial. It's all used up. Used? Used up? Oh, Mulin's was speechless. 7,000 contribution points. In such a short period of time. Could it be that he was using contribution points to eat? That's right, I've used it up. Senior Sister Mulin's, can you lend me some? Lu Ming looked at Mulin's pitifully. All right, give me your identity jade medallion. Mulin said. Lu Ming took out his identity jade token and handed it to Mulin's. After Mulin's took it, she also took out her own identity jade token. The two identity jade tokens leaned against each other. Mulin's injected her true qi, and the jade tokens started to shine. Mulin's slender fingers swiped a few times on the jade token. Then the light on the jade token dimmed. Lu Ming took back his identity jade token and looked at it. There were 3,000 contribution points in it. Lu Ming, when you earn enough contribution points, you must return them to me. You also know that girls spend a lot. Mulin stared at Lu Ming with a pained expression. So stingy. She even said that if there's anything, just say it. Lu Ming muttered softly. What did you say? Mulan widened her eyes and glared at Lu Ming viciously. No, nothing. Senior Sister Mulins, I'm going back to cultivate. Lu Ming ran away. Looking in the direction that Lu Ming had left, Mulan revealed a smile on her face again. She said softly, "It's quite interesting. Lu Ming, I hope you won't disappoint me. Although you are still very far away, you might still have a chance to enter that place in the future." After saying that, Mulins also left. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon and sat down cross-legged. He took out a jade box and opened it. There were 10 crystals, neatly placed inside. 9 drops of blood essence were sealed in each crystal. These 10 crystals were the blood essence of class 4 LV2 demonic beasts. Lu Ming picked up a crystal and squeezed it hard. A few inscriptions shone on the spirit sealing crystal. Crack! Then the spirit sealing crystal shattered and turned into a pile of debris. 9 drops of demonic beast blood essence emerged. Devour! Lu Ming immediately manipulated his bloodline to produce a strong suction force and devoured the 9 drops of blood essence. Soon they were converted into energy and flowed into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming activated the true dragon fighting technique and began to absorb and refine the energy. Lu Ming's cultivation was increasing rapidly. Soon, the blood essence of a demonic beast was completely refined. The energy essence in the blood essence is slightly weaker than the one I just killed. Lu Ming sensed it carefully. This was normal. Although the spirit sealing crystal could seal the loss of energy, it was not 100%. There would still be some energy loss. Continue. Lu Ming crushed the second spirit sealing crystal and began to refine it. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed and he had refined all 10 class for LV2 demonic beast's blood essence. However, Lu Ming's cultivation had not advanced to LV for Martial Master. He was still in the late stage of LV3 Martial Master. Sure enough, the second level of the true dragon fighting technique consumes more energy. Lu Ming thought to himself helplessly. Previously, when he was at the first level of the true dragon fighting technique, his genuine qi was twice as dense as ordinary genuine qi. At that time, the energy required to advance his cultivation was 3 times as much as other genuine qi. Now, his genuine qi was 3 times as dense as other genuine qi. The energy required was 9 times as much as other genuine qi. It was a terrifying 9 times. Another thing was that his bloodline had not advanced. It was still at level 3. This was the blood essence of 10 class for LV2 demonic beasts. Logically speaking, it should have advanced a long time ago. Was level 3 really the limit of his bloodline? Lu Ming was unwilling to give up. I don't care anymore. There's no return without effort. Continue to refine. Lu Ming took out another jade box. In this jade box, there were 10 pieces of class 5 level 2 demonic beast blood essence. Then, Lu Ming began to devour and refine the class 5 LV 2 demonic beast's blood essence. The blood essence of a class 5 LV2 demonic beast was several times more than that of a class 4 LV2 demonic beast's blood essence. Chapter 56. Lu Ming opened his eyes. 2 rays of light flashed across his eyes. 4th level Martial Master. The speed of devouring and refining the blood essence is indeed terrifying. It's only been a little more than a day, and I've already reached 4th level Martial Master. But it's still not enough. Ning Feng is a martial artist at the peak of LV6 Martial Master. No one knows if he'll make a breakthrough during this period. I have to go one step further. Lu Ming got up and went to the contribution hall again. This time he exchanged all the 80,000 taels of silver he got from Duanmu Ju for contribution points. 80,000 taels of silver was equivalent to 800 contribution points. In addition to the original 700 contribution points and the 3,000 contribution points he borrowed from Mulin's, He had a total of 4,500 contribution points, all of which he used to exchange for the blood essence of demonic beasts. Class 5 LV2 blood essence of demonic beasts cost 100 contribution points, and he exchanged for 15 of them. Class 6 LV2 blood essence of demonic beasts cost 200 contribution points, and he exchanged for 15 of them. All of a sudden, he had spent all his contribution points. Poor, I'm too poor. Lu Ming sighed. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming continued to cultivate. 2 days later, in addition to the remaining 4 blood essences of Class 5 LV2, a total of 19 blood essences of Class 5 LV2 were devoured and refined by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the late stage of LV4 Martial Master, almost reaching the peak of LV4 Martial Master. After devouring the blood essence of Class 5 LV2 demonic beasts, Lu Ming continued to devour the blood essence of Class 6 LV2 demonic beasts. With only 3 blood essences, Lu Ming had reached the peak of LV4 Martial Master. However, even after devouring 3 more blood essences of Class 6 LV2 demonic beasts, Lu Ming's cultivation did not improve at all, let alone breaking through to LV5 Martial Master. My cultivation has improved too fast. My genuine qi is not pure, and my foundation is not stable. I have to stop and consolidate my cultivation. Lu Ming shook his head and smiled bitterly. Next, Lu Ming temporarily stopped devouring blood essence and focused on consolidating his cultivation. In addition, he would also practice martial techniques when he had time. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. There were less than 2 days left before Ningfeng's 1-month deadline. In these 10 days, Lu Ming's flame dragon fists had reached the 6th level, man and martial arts as one. As for the flowing light sword art, no matter how much Lu Ming cultivated, it was still stuck at the 5th level. After 10 days of cultivation, although Lu Ming's cultivation had not been completely consolidated, it was almost there. Let's start the breakthrough. At this time, Lu Ming once again devoured the Class 6 LV2 demonic beast's blood essence and began to break through his cultivation. Roar! Roar! The blood essence of the demonic beast was constantly being converted into true energy. The dragon-shaped true energy kept rushing through his meridians, growing stronger and stronger. Finally, it gathered in the vortex in his dantian. A day and a half later, Lu Ming's cyclone began to spin rapidly. Then, with a tremor, it began to expand. In the end, the cyclone had doubled in size. 5th layer martial master, I've finally broken through. Lu Ming opened his eyes, revealing a look of joy. Buzz! Just then, Lu Ming felt a numbness in his spine. A red light rushed out, and a finger-sized spirit swallowing bug appeared, rolling in the air. Then the spirit-swallowing bug began to grow longer and thicker. 2 hours later, the spirit-swallowing bug had turned into a small snake as thick as a thumb and half a meter long. Yes, it really looked like a small snake, covered with black scales, hovering in the air. At this time, for bright red chakras shone on the small snake's body. It had advanced. Lu Ming's bloodline had finally advanced, but the amount of blood essence needed was too much. And this time, even the shape of his bloodline had changed. This can't be called a bug anymore, right? Should I change its name to snake? Lu Ming was a little confused. This situation was simply unheard of. Not only could the bloodline advance, but it could also evolve. I wonder if it will evolve in the future? Forget it. I'll just call it spirit swallowing. Lu Ming thought expectantly. In a rather spacious courtyard in the Vermilion Bird Courtyard, 2 figures stood. One was Ningfeng, and the other was Ningfeng's father, Ningkong. Feng! How confident are you in your battle with Lu Ming this time? Ningkong asked. Dad, don't worry. I'm 100% confident that I can kill Lu Ming on the Vermilion Bird Terrace. Ning Feng smiled confidently. Feng! Don't underestimate the enemy. Since Lu Ming can get the position of the newcomer king and took the initiative to challenge you, he must have something to rely on. Don't be careless. Ning Kong warned. Ning Feng smiled and said, Dad, if it was before, I wouldn't be so confident. But yesterday, my cultivation broke through. Broke through? Feng, you said you broke through? Ning Kong revealed a look of ecstasy. Yes, Dad. Ning Feng smiled, and then his body emitted a powerful aura that far surpassed the peak of the 6th level martial master. Ha ha ha, good, then I'm relieved. This time, the Duanmu family also values this matter. As long as you kill Lu Ming, we father and son will have more weight in the Duanmu family's heart. Now that the Duanmu family is getting stronger and stronger, we father and son can only work hard for the Duanmu family to obtain a higher status in the future. Ning Kong laughed heartily. He then took out a jade bottle and passed it to Ning Feng. Feng, this is an explosive spirit pill. Take it. I got it from the Duanmu family. Initially, I wanted to give it to you to kill Lu Ming. But now that you have broken through, I reckon you won't need it. However, take it with you just in case. Thank you, Dad. Ning Feng took the jade bottle and said, Okay, it's about time. Let's go to the Vermilion Bird Terrace. Ning Kong said. On the other side, Lu Ming packed up and walked out of his room. He saw Pang Shi and Hua Qi waiting for him. Senior brother Lu will go with you. Pang Shi said. Lu Ming, don't lose. You're the newcomer king, but you can only lose at my hands. Hua Qi said coldly. Let's go. Lu Ming smiled and took the lead to walk out. The Vermilion Bird Terrace was located at the foot of the east side of the Vermilion Bird Peak. It was very spacious and was specially used for the disciples of the Vermilion Bird courtyard to fight. At this time, the Vermilion Bird Terrace was surrounded by people. There were at least a few thousand people. There were new disciples, but most of them were old disciples. Not only that, there were also many elders. This year's newcomer king, who had just entered the courtyard for a month, actually dared to challenge an old disciple who had been in the courtyard for 4 or 5 years. This was rare in the history of the Vermilion Bird courtyard. Many people were very curious about where Lu Ming's confidence and courage came from. Naturally, they all came to watch. Chief Elder Ning Kong is here. And Ning Feng. Suddenly, someone shouted. Ning Feng and Ning Kong were walking together, and there were many people following them. A group of people walked up to the top of the terrace. Elder Mullins is here too. Really, where is he? At this time, an even louder clamor rang out. Mullins walked over leisurely with lotus steps. Beside her, Feng Wu, Ruan Wu, and the others followed. Chapter 57. Mullins, I heard that you were the one who introduced Lu Ming. It seems like you don't have good foresight. Lu Ming's talent is not bad, but he is too arrogant. He will die young. Ning Kong looked at Mullins and said coldly. Mullins curled her lips and said, I think your precious son is the one who will die young. Is that so? I hope you can still say that later. Ning Kong snorted and waved his sleeves, sitting down at the side. Swoosh! Ning Feng's figure moved, leaping down from the spectator stand. His body was as agile as a swallow. After a few leaps, Ning Feng crossed over 50 meters and appeared on the Vermilion Bird Arena. What an amazing movement technique! Ning Feng has been practicing martial arts for many years, so he can't be underestimated. His low-grade yellow-level movement technique, 3 swipes of the swallow, has already reached the 5th level. Ning Feng has been taught by his father for many years, so it's normal for him to reach this level. But that Lu Ming, how long has it been since he entered the sect? In terms of martial arts, he is definitely not Ning Feng's opponent. That's right, the surrounding disciples were discussing. Lu Ming is here. At this time, a disciple shouted. Sure enough, Lu Ming, Pang Shi, and Hua Qi walked over from a mountain path. I didn't think that Lu Ming would dare to open the arena. He's just courting death. I think he won't even be able to take 10 moves from Senior Ning. 10 moves? I think he'll be lucky if he can take 3 moves. A few disciples beside Ning Kong sneered. As Lu Ming walked over, the crowd naturally dispersed. Lu Ming walked up the Vermilion Bird arena stage, step by step, facing Ning Feng. Haha, Lu Ming, you really dared to come. I thought you would hide in your dorm, like a coward. Ning Feng looked at Lu Ming with disdain. Ning Feng, you think you're worthy? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Whether I'm worthy or not, you will know in a moment. Lu Ming, the moment you step onto the arena platform, it's already a battle of life and death. Hee hee, even if you want to regret now, it's too late. Ning Feng sneered. You talk too much. Hurry up and make your move. I hope you won't disappoint me, Lu Ming said. Haha, let you down? Ning Feng laughed out loud as if he had heard a very funny joke. Ning Feng had already been in the Vermilion Bird courtyard for 5 years. Although his talent wasn't particularly outstanding, it wasn't weak either. Now, there was actually a newcomer who had only been in the sect for a little more than a month, saying that he hoped he wouldn't disappoint him. Ridiculous, extremely ridiculous. After that, Ning Feng's expression turned gloomy. Since you're so eager to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Today, I'll crush your confidence and crush your pride. Ning Feng sneered coldly. His figure flashed as he sent a palm strike towards Lu Ming. A layer of black light shrouded his palm. Jinqi burst forth from his palm, accompanied by a violent whistling sound. Low-grade yellow-class martial skill, Blackrock Palm. Is that all you've got? You want to crush me? Lu Ming smiled faintly as he punched out. Flame Dragon Fist, a fiery aura, filled the air as the faint roar of a dragon resounded. The fist aura was as heavy as a mountain. Its power was unstoppable as it heavily collided with Ning Feng's palm. Bang! The fist and palm collided, causing a violent explosion. Waves of hot air swept out in all directions. The two separated immediately after the collision. A figure was forced back 3 steps. This figure was actually Ning Feng. Everyone was stunned. Ning Feng was actually forced back by a single move. How was this possible? From the aura that Ning Feng had just revealed, he had already erupted with the cultivation of the peak of the 6th layer martial master. The peak of the 6th layer martial master was actually forced back by Lu Ming with a single punch. Unbelievable. How could Lu Ming be so strong? Ning Feng's eyes were also filled with shock. He didn't expect Lu Ming to be so strong. Good, powerful. Senior brother Lu Ming is mighty. In the crowd, Pang Shi loudly cheered. In the stands, Mulinza's eyes flashed and a smile appeared on her face. She looked at Ning Kong and said, It seems that Lu Ming is more skilled. It's still too early to say this. Ning Kong coldly snorted. This Lu Ming's talent is too amazing. I must kill him today. Otherwise, there will be no place for me in the Vermilion Bird courtyard in the future. On the Vermilion Bird courtyard, Ning Feng roared in his heart. Clang! A long sword was unsheathed. Wind Demon Sword Art, Rising Wind and Surging Clouds. At this moment, Ning Feng revealed his ability. Sword Qi, like a waterfall, suddenly erupted. It broke through the air and violently slashed down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered and also unsheathed his long sword. Sword Qi was like a stream of light, cutting through the air and whistling out. This sword was not the Black Edge sword, but the sword left behind by his father, the Heavenly Star Sword. The Black Edge sword was only a high-grade spirit weapon. It was obviously not enough to fight with Ning Feng, but the sword left behind by his father was a high-grade spirit weapon. Only then could he display his full strength. Clang! The 2 swords clashed and exploded with a shocking boom. Their bodies slightly swayed and then they started fighting again. Clang! Clang! The two swords clashed and sword chi crisscrossed. The two figures were completely engulfed by sword light. Strong, so strong. Lu Ming can actually fight with Ningfeng. Ningfeng's Wind Demon Sword Art is a high-grade yellow-grade sword art. Moreover, it has been cultivated to the 5th level. But Lu Ming can actually fight with Ningfeng with only sword art. The strength of his sword art is not inferior to Ningfeng's at all. It's really incredible. This battle is going to be interesting. Looking at the two people fighting on the Vermilion Bird courtyard, some senior disciples could not stay calm and started discussing. Wind Demon Sword Art, Wind World Slashing. Wind Demon Sword Art, Hurricane Destruction. Ningfeng continuously used the powerful moves of the Wind Demon Sword Art. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged more than 50 moves. Clang! With a loud sound, the two figures separated. Lu Ming, I admit that your strength is not bad. You can actually fight with me to this extent. But today you must die. Now, I'll let you see my strength. Boom! Ningfeng's body suddenly emitted a rumbling sound. Following that, his aura surged and a berserk aura burst out from Ningfeng's body. 7th level Martial Master. Ningfeng has broken through to the 7th level Martial Master. Lu Ming is finished. The 7th level Martial Master is not something that the 6th level Martial Master can compare to. Ningfeng has actually broken through. Then Lu Ming is dead for sure. What a pity for a top genius. So what if he's a genius? There are countless geniuses in the world. Every year, who knows how many geniuses die? A genius who hasn't grown up is nothing. When Ningfeng revealed his cultivation of the 7th level Martial Master, almost everyone thought that Lu Ming was finished. In the stands, Mulin's Feng Wu and the rest also revealed expressions of shock and worry. Haha, Ningfeng laughed loudly and said, Mulin's, you didn't expect it, right? This time, Lu Ming will definitely die. Mulin's eyes flashed, but she did not respond. In fact, she was not confident in her heart. Could Lu Ming block Ningfeng? Lu Ming, I'll let you experience my peak battle strength now. However, the result you see is death. Ningfeng laughed complacently as a bloody light flashed on his body. Bloodline eruption. His bloodline was a 4th level bloodline. When his bloodline erupted, his battle strength increased by 40%. Wind Demon Sword Art. Wind rises and clouds surge. Ningfeng slashed out with his sword. The wind howled as it turned into 7 or 8 sword beams that slashed towards Lu Ming. It was the same move, but it was several times stronger than before. This way it's more interesting. On the Vermilion Bird arena, Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. His feet heavily stomped on the stage, and his body rushed out like lightning. Chapter 58. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. His true chi surged, and his long hair fluttered. At this moment, Lu Ming's aura was no weaker than Ningfeng's. In the battle with Ningfeng, Lu Ming had only used 50% of his strength. But now it was 100%. Clang! The two of them collided fiercely. Sparks flew as their swords clashed. Streaks of sharp sword chi pierced the air and shot out in all directions. Bang! Bang! After the collision, the two of them retreated several steps at the same time. Damn it, kill! Ningfeng roared and charged at Lu Ming again. Fight! Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning. His long hair fluttered, and his body exuded a surging battle intent. He took a step forward and charged at Ningfeng. Clang! Clang! The two of them continued to attack each other. Sword chi flew and danced in the air. It was extremely powerful. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed, and the two of them were evenly matched. How could this be? Impossible. How could this Lu Ming be so strong? Ningfeng was so shocked that he was speechless. With his cultivation of the 7th level of the martial master realm and the speed of his superior yellow rank sword technique, he had already reached the 5th level. It could be said that his sword was as fast as the wind and as fast as lightning. However, Lu Ming was able to completely block it. Not only was his true qi not weaker than him, but even the speed of his sword technique was not inferior. He did not know that Lu Ming was cultivating a divine rank cultivation technique. His true qi was 3 times stronger than ordinary true qi. When the true dragon battle technique was only at the 1st level, Lu Ming was able to kill opponents 1 level higher than him. Now that the true dragon battle technique had advanced to the 2nd level, even if Ningfeng was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming, he would not be able to defeat Lu Ming. Not only Ningfeng, but all the spectators around the Vermilion Bird Arena were shocked. It was unbelievable that Lu Ming was able to tie with Ningfeng, who had broken through to the 7th level of the martial master realm. They all held their breaths and stared at the arena, afraid that they would disturb the 2 people on the arena. Clang! Clang! On the Vermilion Bird Arena, the 2 continued their battle. 7th grade martial master is indeed not weak. However, as long as I activate my bloodline, I can immediately defeat him. However, now is not the time. Moreover, the bloodline of the martial master realm only lasts for 2 minutes. Once the 2 minutes are over, Ningfeng will not be my opponent. Lu Ming pondered. 2 silhouettes continuously clashed on the Vermilion Bird stage, sword qi overflowing in all directions. Soon, they had exchanged over 100 moves. At this moment, the bloody light on Ningfeng's body quickly dissipated. It was time for his bloodline to erupt. Not good. On the grandstand, Ningfeng's expression changed. Clang! On the Vermilion Bird Arena, the 2 of them clashed again. Bang! This time, Ningfeng was directly sent flying. His face was pale, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Ningfeng is injured. The crowd was in an uproar as they looked at the stage in shock. It's time for Ningfeng's bloodline to erupt. It seems like Ningfeng is going to lose. Ningfeng is actually not a match for Lu Ming. This is really unbelievable. Have you guys realized that Lu Ming still hasn't unleashed his bloodline? What? It seems to be true. I didn't notice this just now. This is too shocking. Genius, a top genius. How is Lu Ming arrogant? He clearly has the ability to do so. Around the Vermilion Bird Arena, whether it was the new disciples, old disciples, or elders, they were all discussing with each other in shock. Senior brother Lu Ming, you can do it. You're the best. Pang Shi was so excited that his face was flushed red. He waved his arms and shouted. Senior brother Lu Ming is mighty. Following that, other disciples shouted. These were all new disciples who joined this year. When they saw that Lu Ming, a disciple who joined the sect at the same time as them, was actually so strong, they couldn't help but feel a burst of pride. What's so great about being an old disciple? There are also new disciples who can defeat you all. At this moment, Lu Ming had become the idol in many people's hearts. This guy, Hua, Qi muttered to himself. In the depths of his eyes, there was an additional trace of admiration. He had always been proud and arrogant. When he first met Lu Ming, he had threatened to defeat him in the future. But now, he knew that Lu Ming's talent was not something he could compare to. In the stands, Ruan Hongwu and Feng Wu's mouths were slightly agape as they watched in a daze, especially Ruan Hongwu. A month ago, Lu Ming had said that he would challenge Ningfeng in a month's time. She was still rather unhappy in her heart and thought that Lu Ming was too arrogant. But now she understood that she was wrong. Lu Ming wasn't arrogant, he was confident, and he had the ability to be confident. Hee Ningkong, looks like your precious son is going to lose. On the spectator stand, Mulan laughed happily. She was laughing so hard that her body trembled. Is that so? The outcome hasn't been decided yet? Ningkong clenched his fists tightly. His eyes revealed killing intent as he said coldly. What? Moulins couldn't help but have a bad premonition. On the Vermilion Bird Arena. Ningfeng, the time for the bloodline eruption has arrived. Now I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming looked indifferently at Ningfeng and said, "Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you want to defeat me? Dream on, you're the one who forced me." Ningfeng laughed. Then, with a wave of his hand, an elixir appeared and he swallowed it. Boom! When Ningfeng swallowed the elixir, a powerful aura suddenly erupted from his body. This aura was powerful and tyrannical. Compared to before, it was twice as strong. Lu Ming die. Ningfeng roared. His eyes were bloodshot. He stomped his feet, and with a loud boom, even the fighting stage shook. His body turned into a gust of wind and charged towards Lu Ming. "Don't take it head-on." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of seriousness. He used the dragon snake steps and moved to the side, but he was still a step too late. Ningfeng's sword Qi swept towards him. Bang! Lu Ming used his long sword to block. A sharp and violent force surged towards him, and he couldn't help but slide back by 10 meters. Explosive spirit pill. Ningfeng, you're despicable. You actually used the explosive spirit pill. This fight is already unfair. It's over. In the stands, Moulins suddenly stood up and shouted with an ugly expression. "Moulins, what are you trying to do? On the Vermilion Bird stage, there's no rule against using elixirs in a fight to the death." Ningfeng also stood up and sneered. "Using elixirs is unfair. How can you talk about a fight to the death?" Moulins shouted coldly and was about to rush towards the Vermilion Bird stage. However, Ningfeng released a powerful aura and locked onto Moulins. He sneered and said, "Moulins, outsiders are not allowed to interfere in a fight to the death at the Vermilion Bird stage. Are you trying to break the rules? Despicable. Despicable." Mulan gritted her teeth and widened her almond-shaped eyes. However, Ningfeng stared at her intently. At this moment, on the Vermilion Bird stage, Ningfeng had already launched a violent attack. "Lu Ming, prepare to die. Sword art of the Wind Demon. Wind slashes the world. Sword art of the Wind Demon. Hurricane destruction." The violent sword Qi tore apart everything in its path. It broke through the air and slashed towards Lu Ming's head. "My strength has increased by 2 times. I can only avoid it and find an opportunity to counterattack." Lu Ming's figure moved, and he performed the dragon snake steps. As he moved, he blocked the sword aura that slashed toward him. Boom! Boom! After 7 to 8 moves, Lu Ming kept retreating. Chapter 59. Ningfeng actually swallowed the explosive spirit pill. How despicable. Looks like Lu Ming is going to lose. Some of the spectators shook their heads and sighed, but there were also people who sneered. After a few more moves, Lu Ming was in even more danger. He was already in a desperate situation. "Ningfeng, get out of my way." On the stands, Moulins shouted and threw a palm at Ningfeng. "Moulins, as the chief elder, do you want to violate the sect rules?" Ningfeng shouted coldly and exchanged a palm with Moulins. Fortunately, the two of them were controlling their palms. Otherwise, the stands would have been shattered by their palms. Despicable. Feng Wu, Wan Wu, and the others also shouted, but they were also blocked by the people Ningfeng brought. On the Vermilion Bird Arena, Ningfeng's attack was like a hurricane, extremely violent. Lu Ming retreated as he fought, but his eyes were extremely bright as he stared at Ningfeng. He was looking for an opportunity. "Die, haha, die." Ningfeng laughed loudly. Completely suppressing Lu Ming made him incomparably carefree. "Lu Ming, you despicable thing. You actually dare to contradict me. Actually dare to not give me face, and even dare to fight me to the death. Now tremble regret." Ningfeng kept laughing. "Now is the time." At this time, Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Instead of retreating, he advanced and pounced towards Ningfeng. At the same time, Lu Ming's body flashed with a bloody light, and his bloodline erupted. When his bloodline erupted, it was when Lu Ming was at his strongest. Now, his bloodline had already advanced to level 4. When his bloodline erupted, not only could he devour 50% of others' attacks, but his own strength could also increase by 40%. Lu Ming's action shocked everyone present. What was Lu Ming doing? Courting death? Ningfeng himself was also slightly stunned, then laughed sinisterly. No matter what tricks you play, I'll kill you. I'll crush you. The swift and fierce sword aura turned into a sword aura storm and charged toward Lu Ming. Boom! However, when the sword energy struck Lu Ming's body only trembled slightly. Then, he continued to charge towards Ningfeng. Then he waved the sword in his right hand and blocked Ningfeng's long sword, while his left hand punched out heavily. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Ningfeng did not even have time to react. Bang! Lu Ming's punch landed heavily on Ningfeng's dantian. The surging fist power crazily rushed into Ningfeng's dantian. In an instant, the cyclone in Ningfeng's dantian trembled violently and almost exploded. Ningfeng was like a punctured balloon. The aura on his body suddenly plummeted. In an instant, Ningfeng's aura fell back to the 7th level of the martial master realm. However, it did not stop. It continued to fall until it reached the peak of the 6th level of the martial master realm. Ningfeng had just broken through to the 7th level of the martial master realm, so his cultivation was still unstable. Lu Ming's punch not only defeated the berserk true qi that was produced by consuming the explosive spirit pill, but also knocked him back to his original state, falling to the 6th level of the martial master realm. If it wasn't for the berserk true qi produced by the explosive spirit pill offsetting a portion of the fist strength, this punch would have directly crippled Ningfeng's cultivation. Ah! Ningfeng screamed as his body was sent flying. He fell heavily on the ground, more than 10 meters away, and vomited blood. Mulins was stunned, Feng Wu, Wanhe was stunned, and Ningkong was also stunned. Everyone was stunned. Everything happened in an instant, and they didn't even have time to react. What was going on? They had just seen Lu Ming charging towards Ningfeng instead of retreating. They had just thought that Lu Ming was courting death by doing so. Then they saw Ningfeng being sent flying while screaming miserably. He was vomiting blood. Feng! Ningkong was the first to react and roared. Ningfeng struggled to get up and looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. He shouted, "How are you fine?" He had clearly hit Lu Ming just now, but Lu Ming seemed to be fine. "Now it's my turn!" Lu Ming sneered as he took a step forward and slashed at Ningfeng. Ningfeng was shocked as he raised his sword to block. However, he was only at the peak of the 6th level of the martial master realm and was injured. How could he be a match for Lu Ming? With one move, Ningfeng was forced to retreat as he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. "Ningfeng, you've only cultivated for a few more years, and you want me to regret it? Make me tremble? You're still far from it. I'll send you on your way now." Lu Ming's mouth curled into a sneer as his eyes flashed with cold killing intent. He walked towards Ningfeng step by step. "How dare you? Lu Ming, stop!" On the stands, Ningkong roared. "Stop!" Lu Ming glanced at Ningkong and sneered. "Why didn't you ask Ningfeng to stop when he had the upper hand? Now you're asking me to stop? Are you out of your mind?" After saying that, he ignored Ningkong and slashed at Ningfeng again. Clang! Clang! Ningfeng barely managed to block a few moves before he could no longer resist. His body trembled as the long sword in his hand slipped out of his hand. "Father, father, save me!" Ningfeng frantically retreated as he screamed in horror. "Lu Ming, you still dare to attack? You're courting death." Ningkong roared furiously. His body was like a goshawk as he pounced towards the vermilion bird arena. However, Mulan's figure moved and followed closely behind, striking a palm at Ningkong. Ning Kong counterattacked with his palm, and the two of them clashed in the air. Boom! With a violent explosion, energy overflowed. The two of them swayed and landed on the ground separately. After landing, Mulan's figure moved and stood in front of Ning Kong. "Mulan, get out of my way!" Ning Kong roared. Mulan smiled charmingly and said, "Ning Kong, the Vermilion Bird Arena is a life-and-death battle. Outsiders are not allowed to interfere. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to break the sect rules?" Ning Kong's face turned green and white. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. This was what he said to Mulan's earlier. Now, Mulan's returned the words to him. "I don't care. Get lost." Ning Kong roared. "Ning Kong, you're really thick-skinned. You want to go over?" "Impossible." Mulan's aura locked onto Ning Kong. Looking at Ning Kong's ugly old face, Mulan's felt extremely carefree. At this moment, on the Vermilion Bird Arena, Ning Feng screamed again. Lu Ming punched him hard in the stomach. The violent force of the punch broke several of his ribs. Ning Feng lay on the ground, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Lu Ming stepped on Ning Feng's body and looked down at him coldly. "Lu Ming, don't kill me. I beg you, don't kill me." At this moment, Ning Feng was really scared and begged for mercy. "Lu Ming, how dare you kill my son? I'll tear you into pieces." Ning Kong roared angrily. He wanted to rush forward, but was blocked by Mulan. "Old man, I'll be waiting." Lu Ming sneered. Then, the sword light slashed down without hesitation. "No, no." Ning Feng and Ning Kong roared in unison. Splat! Blood splattered and dyed the Vermilion Bird Arena red. Ning Feng held his throat tightly. His eyes were filled with unwillingness, regret, and fear. Chapter 60. Silence. The entire place was silent as everyone looked at the scene in shock. Lu Ming had really killed Ning Feng. Moreover, he had completely ignored Ning Feng's threat in front of Ning Kong. He was audacious and insufferably arrogant. Many senior disciples looked at Lu Ming and felt a chill in their hearts. This was a ruthless person. He was ruthless to his enemies and to himself. "Feng, bastard, I'm going to cut you into pieces." Ning Kong roared. His eyes were red like a wild beast that had gone berserk. Bam! Bam! He exchanged blows with Mulan's continuously. Shockwaves swept across and deafening booms were heard. Many of the weaker disciples turned pale from the impact and were forced to retreat. "If he wants to kill me, he should be prepared to be killed." Lu Ming looked calm as he said, plainly, "You bastard! How can you be compared to Feng? If Feng wants to kill you, you should let him kill you. How dare you retaliate and kill Feng? I'm going to skin you alive." Ning Kong roared furiously as he continued to attack. "Ning Kong, how dare you disregard the sect rules?" Mulan shouted, "What sect rules? Sect rules are bullshit. How can you be compared to my Feng?" Ning Kong had completely gone mad and his eyes were bloodshot. Lu Ming shook his head. He had nothing to say to such a person. Then he looked at the sky and muttered, "It should be time to strike." As soon as he said that, a loud roar was heard from the sky. "Ning Kong, are you crazy? Stop it." An elder in a silver robe appeared in the sky. He extended his hand and pressed the air. An extremely strong pressure was generated and pressed down on Ning Kong. Bam! Under the pressure, Ning Kong had no strength to retaliate. He was pressed to the ground, and no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't move at all. "It's the elder in the silver robe." It turns out that the elder in the silver robe has been watching. The other disciples exclaimed when they saw the elder. "Elder Lu, you have to stand up for me. Lu Ming, that bastard, killed Feng." Ning Kong roared. Vermilion Bird Arena, a battle of life and death. Since it's a battle of life and death, what wrong did Lu Ming do? But you, Ning Kong, how dare you disregard the sect rules? I think you're getting worse. Go back with me and reflect. If you can't figure it out, don't come out." The silver-robed elder waved his hand, and a powerful energy surged out, sweeping up Ning Kong before he turned into a ray of light and shot through the air. Upon seeing the silver-robed elder take Ning Kong away, Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. The reason why he dared to kill Ning Fong in front of Ning Kong was not completely a brainless action. Firstly, Ning Fong had repeatedly caused trouble for him and even sent people to kill him. Ning Fong indeed deserved to die. If he didn't kill him, he would definitely find trouble with him later. Secondly, he was certain that there would be a silver-robed elder watching nearby. Through this battle, he had completely revealed his talent and value, being able to kill an old disciple of the 7th Martial Master Realm in just over a month after entering the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. This kind of talent was definitely valued by the upper echelons of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. How could he allow Ning Kong to kill him? Reality proved it. Lu Ming thanks Elder Mullins for your help. Lu Ming cupped his fists and thanked Mullins. Lu Ming, you're not bad. Mullins smiled. Then Lu Ming will take his leave. Lu Ming nodded and left the Vermilion Bird Arena, disappearing into the crowd. The news of this battle spread quickly in the Vermilion Bird Arena and even to the other courtyards. Lu Ming didn't care about it. He returned to the dormitory and sat cross-legged on his bed. Waves of pain came from his body. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He was seriously injured in this battle. After Ning Fong swallowed the explosive spirit pill, his battle strength increased greatly. Lu Ming was injured when he tried his best to resist. After that, he activated his bloodline and took Ning Feng's attack head-on. Although he swallowed 50% of the attack power, the remaining attack power still made his injuries worse. Looks like I have to buy a defensive spirit weapon, like soft armor, in the future. Also, I have to cultivate defensive martial skills. Otherwise, it won't be good to keep getting injured like this. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and whispered. When his bloodline activated, although he was extremely powerful, he would still be injured if he had to take other people's attacks head-on. The main reason was that his body was too weak. Other than the protective true chi, he didn't have any other defensive moves. Let's heal first. Lu Ming shook his head and began to circulate the true dragon battle art to control his bloodline and heal his injuries. Whoosh, whoosh, in the air, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth quickly gathered towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. After Lu Ming's bloodline advanced to level 4, his speed of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth increased by a large margin. It far surpassed the speed of a level 5 bloodline. Lu Ming estimated that it was at least comparable to a level 7 bloodline. This speed could be said to be very astonishing. However, Lu Ming cultivated the second level of the true dragon battle art, which required 9 times the energy of ordinary true chi. Therefore, just by absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, his cultivation speed was still not comparable to a level 5 bloodline genius. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth continued to gather and transform into pure true chi. It scattered into the muscles, bones, and internal organs of his body, constantly nourishing Lu Ming's body and healing his injuries. This cultivation lasted for 5 hours. At this time, Lu Ming opened his eyes. After 5 hours of cultivation, Lu Ming's injuries were much better. In another 2 days, he would be completely healed. It smells so good. Suddenly, a rich barbecue fragrance floated in from outside. Who's barbecuing outside? Lu Ming was a little puzzled. He opened the door and walked out. In the yard, Pang Shi and Hua Qi were barbecuing meat. Seeing Lu Ming come out, Pang Shi was overjoyed. He smiled and said, "Senior brother Lu Ming, you're done cultivating. Come, have some barbecued meat. This is the meat of a blood antelope. It's very delicious and can replenish blood. It's very useful after you're injured." Lu Ming's heart warmed. He smiled and said, Pang Shi, did you prepare this for me? The meat of a blood antelope is not cheap. How can I afford it? Pang Shi scratched his head and said, Flower Addict bought it especially for you. I used to hunt, so barbecuing meat is my specialty, so I'm responsible for it. Hua Chi's face was cold. He said, Lu Ming, don't misunderstand. I don't want to treat your injuries out of kindness, because I will definitely defeat you. If you're injured, there will be repercussions. Wouldn't that be very boring? Stubborn. Pang Shi curled his lips. Hey, Big Stone, I'm warning you, don't call me Flower Addict. Hua Chi said coldly, Aren't you called Flower Addict? If I don't call you that, how can I call you that? Pang Shi said doubtfully. You. Hua Chi was tongue-tied. Huh. Lu Ming laughed. He picked up a piece of golden barbecued meat and took a bite. The meat was tender and fragrant. The taste was definitely top-notch, especially after swallowing. There was a warm current flowing through his body. It was very comfortable. Chapter 61. Lu Ming's mouth was full of oil as he finished a piece of barbecued meat in a few bites. Big Stone, your barbecue skills are not bad. Lu Ming praised. Haha, I've been hunting since I was young, and I also like to eat meat. This was all discovered by myself. Pang Shi laughed and then took out a jar of wine from the side and said, Come, Lu Ming, this is medicinal wine. It's also bought by the Flower Addict. It won't do any harm to your injuries, but you can't have meat without wine. Come, then let's drink to our heart's content. Lu Ming laughed. The three of them each had a jar of wine, ate the meat in big mouthfuls, and drank large bowls of wine. A few hours later, a blood antelope was completely finished by the three of them. Several jars of wine were also drunk by the three of them. Pang Shi and Hua Chi were both dead drunk. Hua Chi's ugly face also disappeared without a trace after getting drunk. He put his arm around Pang Shi's shoulder and shouted, You bunch of trash, I'll definitely go back in the future. I'll kill all of you. However, Pang Shi shouted, Senior Brother Lu, you're so powerful. I know you'll definitely win. I want to become a powerful person like Senior Brother Lu. That way, Father and Mother will definitely be proud of me. As the two of them talked, they fell asleep in the courtyard. Lu Ming smiled and staggered into the room. Then he began to circulate the true dragon battle art. After a while, the alcohol completely disappeared. Lu Ming continued to circulate his energy to heal his injuries. The medicinal power of the blood antelope and the medicinal wine circulated throughout his body. Lu Ming's injuries healed even faster. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed and Lu Ming's injuries had already healed. After his injuries healed, Lu Ming did not slack off and continued to cultivate, because he knew that the dangers and difficulties he would face in the future would become greater and greater. Ning Kong and the Duanmu family were mortal enemies. The other party would definitely not let him go. Therefore, he had to increase his strength as soon as possible. 10 days later. Cultivating like this is too slow. With my rich and condensed true qi, it will take at least a year to reach the 6th level of the martial master realm. Lu Ming pondered. Resources, I lack resources. Lu Ming sighed. Right now he was extremely poor. He only had the storage ring that he got from Duanmuju and nothing else. Furthermore, he still owed Mulin's 3,000 contribution points. I have the Supreme Divine Palace, so the storage ring is useless. I'll take this storage ring and exchange it for something. Then, I'll take on some missions and earn some contribution points. Lu Ming made up his mind and headed towards the contribution hall. This storage ring was of the lowest grade and was worth 150,000 taels of silver. However, in the contribution hall, it was only equivalent to 130,000 taels of silver. After all, there were so many disciples in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. It required a lot of resources to operate. Therefore, The price of various materials and items collected by the contribution hall was lower than the market price. This way, he could earn a difference in price. 130,000 taels of silver, all converted into contribution points, a total of 1,300 points. Senior, I would like to ask, how many contribution points do I need to view a high-grade yellow rank defensive martial skill? Lu Ming asked. Martial skill? Martial skills can be found in the library. But let me tell you, martial skills can only be rented. A high-grade yellow rank defensive martial skill will cost at least 5,000 contribution points. What? 5,000 contribution points? Isn't that too expensive? Lu Ming almost jumped up. Defensive martial skills are much rarer and more precious than movement martial skills and attack martial skills. Of course they are more expensive. If you were to buy them outside, you wouldn't be able to buy them without a few million taels of silver. The elder in the contribution hall said. Lu Ming was speechless. However, when he thought about it, it made sense. The Lu clan was such a big clan, but they only had one high-grade yellow rank martial skill. It was treated as a family treasure. One could only imagine how valuable a high-grade yellow rank martial skill was. It seemed that defensive martial skills should be put aside for now. Senior, are there any defensive soft armors here? Lu Ming asked again. Of course there are soft armors, but the defensive ones are not cheap. What grade do you want? The elder asked. How many contribution points are needed for low-grade LV2 and mid-grade LV2? Lu Ming asked. A low-grade LV2 soft armor costs 800 contribution points. A mid-grade LV2 soft armor costs at least 2,000 contribution points. Then let's exchange for a low-grade LV2 soft armor. Lu Ming had no choice but to exchange for a low-grade LV2 soft armor. However, you get what you pay for. The 800 contribution points were not spent in vain. The crimson scaled snake armor was made from the skin of a Class 9 LV2 demonic beast, the crimson scaled snake. It was very light and soft and extremely tough. After Lu Ming kept the crimson scaled snake armor, he walked out of the contribution hall and headed to the mission hall. Halfway there, he found a deserted place and changed into a black cloak to cover himself. He had to be careful of the Duanmu clan. If he went out for a mission and the Duanmu clan sent a few martial grandmaster experts to kill him, he wouldn't even have the strength to fight back. There was nothing wrong with being careful. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the mission hall. The mission hall was the place where the Mystic Essence Sword sect issued and accepted missions. There were 2 types of missions in the mission hall. The first type was issued by the disciples and elders of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Each mission would have a corresponding reward. The other type was collected from outside the Mystic Essence Sword sect. For example, if the Lu clan issued a mission, the Mystic Essence Sword sect would collect the mission. After the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect completed the mission hall would collect a certain fee. The mission hall was very spacious and occupied an area larger than the contribution hall. After walking in, there was a huge hall. On one side of the hall, there was a counter. That was where the missions were handed in. On the other side, there were several huge metal walls. These metal walls were made by an inscriber. On the metal wall, there were missions that were constantly scrolling. These missions had the specific content, time limit, reward, and so on written on them. They were very clear and easy to read. Lu Ming stood under the screen and looked. Collect blood lingering flowers? Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw a mission that he was interested in. This was a mission issued by an inscriber in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. As long as the blood lingering flowers were collected within 3 months, the reward was 100 contribution points per blood lingering flower. The more, the better. Blood lingering flowers were in the eastern part of the Blazing Sun Empire and could only be found in the Dark Blood Mountain. Moreover, The blood-lingering flower itself didn't cost 100 contribution points. It seemed that the inscriber was in a hurry to give such a high price. Most importantly, there was a type of dark bloodstone in the Dark Blood Mountain. It was an important material to cultivate the 3rd level of the true dragon fighting art. It was even needed for the 4th level. This was the reason why Lu Ming was interested. Going to the Dark Blood Mountain was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's see if there are any other missions. Chapter 62. Escort Mission. The reward is actually 100,000 silver, and it's also to go to the Dark Blood Mountain. After looking for a while, Lu Ming's eyes lit up again. He saw an escort mission issued by Yukong City's Zhu family. Escort a person to the Dark Blood Mountain. The reward is 100,000 silver. This is it. Without hesitation, Lu Ming decided to accept this mission, because it happened to be on the way. Then Lu Ming walked to a counter and registered the 2 missions he wanted to accept. This is the mission card issued by the Zhu family. Please keep it well. On the counter, there was a young woman with a sweet smile. At this time, she handed an iron plate to Lu Ming. The word Zhu was written on the iron plate. Thank you. Lu Ming took the iron plate, smiled slightly, then turned and left. 2 hours later, on the main road of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, Lu Ming rode the green scale horse and left. 5 days later, a travel-worn Lu Ming arrived at Yukong City. Yukong City is very majestic and huge. It is an upper-middle city, several times larger than Fiery Wind City. On the street, people come and go. It is very prosperous. Zhu family is known as the #1 family in Yukong City. However, Lu Ming is not in a hurry to go to the Zhu family because the appointed time is tomorrow. There is still 1 day, so there is no hurry. Lu Ming found an inn and cleaned himself up. He then walked around Yukong City to experience the local conditions and customs. The next day, Lu Ming headed to the Zhu family's house. The Zhu family's courtyard walls are high and several times more majestic than the Lu family's. Stop! This is the Zhu family's mansion. Unauthorized people are not allowed to enter. At the gate of the Zhu family, there are 4 strong men guarding. At this time, they stopped Lu Ming. These 4 strong men, each of them has the cultivation of 9th level martial warrior. I am here to complete the mission. Lu Ming smiled and took out the mission card issued by the Zhu family. Sure enough, the leader of the strong men took a look and looked at Lu Ming with some surprise. It seems that he is surprised that Lu Ming is so young. Come with me. The burly man in the lead returned the mission card to Lu Ming and took the lead to head inside. Lu Ming followed. After a few turns, they came to a hall. Walking into the hall, they found that there are some people sitting on both sides of the hall. There are a total of 7 people. These 7 people came in all shapes and sizes, and were all different from each other. On the right side of the hall sat 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman. They were all around 50 years old. The 3 of them wore black robes with skulls on them. Their bodies emitted a gloomy aura. On the left, a burly man in his 40s or 50s with red hair sat at the head of the table. Beside the brawny man was a man and a woman. The man was an old man with white hair, and the woman was a middle-aged woman in her 30s. At the bottom was a young man in his 20s. This man was hugging a long sword and looked like a noble young master. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, the 7 people in the main hall looked over in unison. When they saw Lu Ming's age, they looked at him with disdain. Young hero, they are the ones who accepted this mission. Please wait here. My master will be here soon. The gatekeeper said, Okay. Lu Ming nodded, walked in, and sat down below the 3 people in the skeleton robes. A kid, who hasn't even grown out his hair, came. Is he crazy about money? He actually came to accept this mission. At this time, a low sneer came from the red-haired strong man. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He looked at the red-haired strong man, then smiled faintly and ignored him. What a coward! The red-haired, strong man sneered. Seeing that Lu Ming did not even dare to talk back, the others looked at him with disdain. Ha ha ha. At this time a loud laugh came. A man in his 40s walked in and cupped his fists. Sorry to keep you waiting. I am the second elder of the Zhu family, Zhu Chuan. Greetings. You are welcome, second elder. These people cupped their fists in response. Zhu Chuan walked to the top of the hall and said, Okay, this time the Zhu family has issued a total of 8 mission cards. Now that everyone is here, I will briefly explain the content of this mission. To be honest, this time it is mainly because my Zhu family's ancestor was seriously injured in the Dark Blood Mountain. He needs the blood of a direct descendant of the Zhu family to save his life. He also needs a vitality supplement pill. So this time, the main purpose is to escort the eldest daughter of the Zhu family and the vitality supplement pill in her hands to the Dark Blood Mountain. Because there are many powerful bandits and horse bandits on the way to the Dark Blood Mountain, I need everyone to escort. As long as you send the person and the pill to my Zhu family's ancestor, it will be enough. The reward is 100,000 silver taels per person. Do you have any other questions? Zhu Chuan glanced at the 8 people in the hall. Of course there is a question. The red-haired man stood up and curled his lips. Second elder, 8 people escorting together. I want to ask, have you tested the strength of these people? Zhu Chuan was taken aback. We have not, but you are Blood Hand Wu Mo, and these 3 are the famous Yin Mountain 3 ghosts. Their names have shaken more than a dozen big cities. Who doesn't know them? I naturally know the strength of the Yin Mountain 3 ghosts. I am afraid that some of them are just there to make up the numbers. They don't have any strength and just want to eat and drink and earn 100,000 silver taels. How about this? The Yin Mountain 3 ghosts and I will be in charge of this mission. The others can scram and split their silver taels with the 4 of us. This is better. Wu Mo sneered. Bang! As soon as Wu Mo's voice fell, the noble young master slammed the table and said with a cold face, Wu Mo, who are you telling to scram? Hee hee. Wu Mo sneered a few times. I am calling you, can't you tell? Damn it, 2 brats who are still wet behind the ears want to borrow the power of Blood Hand Wu Mo to earn 100,000 taels of silver? After he finished speaking, he glanced at Lu Ming and said with disdain. The noble young master's face turned completely cold. He said coldly, Blood Hand Wu Mo, I think you don't want your hands anymore. Whoosh! Wu Mo suddenly stood up and looked coldly at the noble young master. He said, Because of your words, I will cripple you today. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Wu Mo slammed his palm toward the noble young master. In the process, his palm quickly turned red and a bloody smell spread out. What a powerful blood hand seal. Wu Mo's blood hand seal has reached a new level. The white-haired old man's face changed. Early 6th level martial master cultivation. Low-grade yellow, rank martial skill. However, he has only cultivated it to the 3rd level mastery. Lu Ming cast a slight glance. Wu Mo's cultivation level was clear at a glance. You are courting death. Clang! The noble young master shouted coldly and unsheathed his sword. Like a cold bolt of lightning, he stabbed at Wu Mo. The speed was so fast that Wu Mo was shocked. He hurriedly retreated and dodged the sword. However, following that, sword rays began to move toward Wu Mo in an unending stream. The sword light flashed like clouds and flowing water. Mid-6th level martial master cultivation. Low-grade yellow rank sword skill, 4th level. Lu Ming's eyes moved. Chapter 63. Flying Cloud Sword Technique. You're a disciple of the Flying Cloud sect. Stop! Blood Hand Wu Mo exclaimed. Do you think I'll stop just because you said so? The young master sneered. His sword continued to shine, forcing Wu Mo to retreat. Uft! In the end, The young master's sword left a long wound on Wu Mo's arm. Blood flowed out. At this time, the young master withdrew his sword and said proudly, "This is a lesson for you. Next time you'll die. Remember, I'm Su Feiyun, a core disciple of the Flying Cloud sect. Bloodhand is trash in the eyes of the Flying Cloud sect. So you're a core disciple of the Flying Cloud sect. No wonder you're so strong. This Wu Mo is really asking for it." Lu Ming suddenly understood. He then shook his head and smiled. In the eastern part of the Sun Empire, the Mystic Essence Sword sect was naturally the supreme overlord. However, other than the Mystic Essence Sword sect, there were other sections. Compared to the Mystic Essence Sword sect, these sects were much weaker. However, compared to some rogue cultivators or small families, they were much stronger. The Flying Cloud sect was such a sect. You, being scolded by a young man in his 20s like this in public, Wu Mo's face was extremely ugly. However, he did not dare to attack Su Feiyun. Suddenly, he looked at Lu Ming and said coldly, "Kid, why did you shake your head and laugh just now? Are you mocking me? You little bastard, how dare you mock me? I'll kill you." Whoosh! Then he slapped at Lu Ming. Since he had lost face to Su Feiyun, he would get it back on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He looked at Wu Mo's palm with a sneer and did not move. Die. A cold smile appeared on Wu Mo's face. This kid is scared out of his wits. One of the Een Mountain, 3 ghosts shook his head. At this moment, a sword light burst out. The snow-white sword light cut through the air. It was faster and colder than Su Feiyun's sword light. Uft! Blood flashed, followed by Wu Mo's miserable scream. "Ah, my hand!" Wu Mo screamed as he retreated. One of his palms had already disappeared. Of course, his palm had been chopped off by Lu Ming's sword. What a fast sword! What a ruthless method! The hearts of the others in the hall trembled, and they all looked at Lu Ming with a solemn expression. He looked like he was only 15 or 16 years old, but he was actually able to cut off Bloodhand Wu Mo's palm with a single sword strike. What terrifying strength! "Ah, who are you? Who are you?" Wu Mo screamed shrilly. "Mystic Essence Sword Sect, Lu Ming. If you want revenge, you can find me at the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Now, scram!" Lu Ming shouted. "What? Mystic Essence Sword Sect?" Everyone else was shocked, but they soon understood what was going on. So he was a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. No wonder he had such strength. Even Su Feiyun, who was originally arrogant, became well-behaved at this time. A disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Haha, I admit defeat. Wu Mo smiled bitterly. To him, the Mystic Essence Sword Sect was a giant. If he didn't want to die, he wouldn't be able to take revenge on Lu Ming in this lifetime. Wu Mo picked up his chopped-off hand and rushed out of the hall, disappearing in a sorry state. Mystic Essence Sword Sect? At the top of the hall, the second elder's eyes flickered. No one knew what he was thinking. Haha, so it's a young hero from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Sorry for the disrespect. The white-haired elder cupped his fist and said politely. Then the others stood up and cupped their fists. Lu Ming smiled faintly, returned the greeting, and sat down. Ha! I didn't expect to see a hero from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect this time. I didn't even know that the Mystic Essence Sword Sect had taken away my Zhu family's mission card. But this is good. We have a better chance this time. All right, let's go. Zhu Chuan said with a smile. Everyone nodded and followed Zhu Chuan out of the Zhu family. Outside, the Zhu family's men were ready. A carriage, dozens of Zhu family's guards, and more than 10 green scale horses. In this carriage is my Zhu family's Mississippi, Zhu Chuan said. Everyone nodded and rode on the green scale horses. Zhu Chuan shouted, "Let's go." Dozens of green scale horses rumbled as the group headed towards the dark Blood Mountain. Zhu Chuan traveled together. Yukong City was more than 10 days away from the dark blood mountain. Everyone traveled during the day and rested at night. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. These 3 days were very peaceful, because the dark blood mountain was the most dangerous place. Because it was close to the dark blood mountain and the terrain was desolate, there were all kinds of bandits and horse bandits hibernating. On the 4th day, late at night, Lu Ming sat cross-legged in a temporary tent and meditated. Suddenly, a mournful scream sounded. In the quiet night, it was particularly abrupt. Shua! Lu Ming instantly opened his eyes and rushed out like a gust of wind. Shua! Shua! Obviously, not only him, the others were also alarmed and rushed towards the source of the sound. It was a huge tent. The Zhu family's miscarriage was parked here. Lu Ming, Yin Mountain's 3 ghosts, Su Feiyun, and the others arrived at almost the same time. Outside the tent, a figure collapsed there. It was actually the white-haired old man. But at this moment his heart was pierced by a short spear, and he no longer had any breath. Everyone frowned. These few days, everyone had gotten to know each other. This old man was called Chen Xian, and he used a short spear. And now, this old man's heart was pierced by his own short spear. What happened? Zhu Chuan hurriedly rushed over. Seeing this scene, his face changed greatly. Uncle Fu, what happened? Zhu Chuan shouted. In the tent, a somewhat stooped old man walked out. At this moment, he was trembling as he said, reporting to Second Elder, "This subordinate also doesn't know what happened. Just now, I suddenly heard a scream and was so scared that this subordinate didn't dare to come out to check. Then you guys came. There are almost no traces of fighting here. Although Chen Xian's cultivation isn't very high, he's still at the peak of the 5th level martial master, who could make Chen Xian unable to resist and kill him with his own short spear." The leader of the Yin Mountain's 3 ghosts said with a grave expression. The others also frowned and pondered. Could it be someone from the Zhou family? Zhu Chuan's face suddenly changed. Zhou family, what Zhou family? Su Feiyun asked. This. I won't hide it from everyone. Our Zhu family has a sworn enemy, the Zhou family. This Zhou family and the Zhu family have been fighting openly and secretly for decades. Everyone wants to destroy the other. This time, if the Zhou family knows that our Zhu family's ancestor is seriously injured, they might send people to stop us from escorting the pills. Zhu Chuan explained. There's such a thing. Second Elder Zhu, your Zhu family didn't mention this when you gave out the mission. Now there's an extra Zhou family? The danger of the Zhou family has increased exponentially. No, I think this mission needs to be discussed. The leader of the Yin Mountains, 3 ghosts said with a changed expression. That's right. Chapter 64. You guys can't change your mind halfway. Zhu Chuan said with an ugly expression. How about this? Since Wu Mo has quit and Chen Xian is dead, we're 2 less people. As long as your Zhu family pays more and doubles the reward, we will continue to do this mission. The head of the Yin Mountain, 3 ghosts rolled his eyes and said, Double the price? Zhu Chuan looked troubled. Double the price, 6 people, that would be 2 million taels of silver. Even if the Zhu family had a large business, it was still a huge expense. If you don't want to pay, then forget it. The head of the Yin Mountain, 3 ghosts said, Wait a minute, I'll pay. Zhu Chuan gritted his teeth. I think it's better to pay half of the deposit first. Su Feiyun added, Pay half of the deposit first. Zhu Chuan looked hesitant. Second Elder, let's pay first? The safety of the young miss is important. Uncle Fu said. This Uncle Fu was the coachman of the young miss of the Zhu family. Okay, then pay half of it first. Zhu Chuan gritted his teeth, then returned to the tent and took out a stack of silver notes. Each note was 10,000 taels, and he gave each of Lu Ming and the others 100,000 taels. Lu Ming naturally took it without hesitation. Haha, since that's the case, I think we should take turns to be on guard. in case the Zhou family comes to sneak attack. After receiving the silver, the Yin Mountain three ghosts and the others all smiled. Immediately, Zhu Chuan ordered the guards of the Zhu family to be on full alert. Naturally, someone went to deal with Chen Xian's body. Lu Ming looked at the tent of the young miss of the Lu family, and a strange look appeared in his eyes. He always felt that this matter was very strange. Moreover, the young miss of the Zhu family had been out for a few days, and they hadn't even seen her face. She hid in the carriage all day, acting mysteriously. Zhu Chuan said that the young miss of the Zhu family was not in good health during this period of time, and she was afraid of catching cold. Lu Ming thought for a while and discussed with the Yin Mountain three ghosts how to arrange for taking turns to be on guard, and then returned to the tent. In the second half of the night, Lu Ming went out to be on guard. There was no movement for the night. The next day, they continued on the road. The next few days were calm and peaceful. On the 8th day, everyone was already close to the dark Blood Mountain. The terrain gradually became desolate. At this point, everyone was on full alert and on full alert. Whoosh! Whoosh! When they passed by a mountain path, sharp sounds of something breaking through the air suddenly came from both sides. A dense barrage of arrows shot towards them. Not good, enemy attack. Defend with all your might. Zhu Chuan shouted. On the other hand, Lu Ming, Su Feiyun, and the others had already leaped into the air. Sword lights flashed, and the arrows were cut in half in midair. Then, their true chi burst out and wrapped around the broken arrows. The arrows were reflected back at a speed faster than they were shot at. Ah! Ah! Then a blood-curdling scream was heard. Rumble! At this moment, the sound of horse hooves came from the front, stirring up a cloud of dust. It was a group of over 100 people on war horses, rumbling as they approached. A group of people appeared in front of them. They were all strong and sturdy men. Their bodies were full of baleful aura, revealing that their cultivations were not weak. They were not something ordinary people could compare to. Hand over all your treasures and women, and you can get lost. The leader of the group, a burly man with a full beard, roared. Sure enough, they had encountered bandits. I think you're the ones who should get lost. Su Feiyun shouted loudly and pounced out like lightning. His movement technique was very fast. Whoosh! Then a sword light cut through the air and slashed towards the leader of the bandits. So powerful! The leader's expression changed drastically. He pulled out his broadsword and barely blocked a few moves before he was killed by Su Feiyun's sword. The 9th master has been killed. Retreat! The other bandits were shocked. They retreated like a swarm of bees and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Aren't these bandits too weak? Su Feiyun walked back and curled his lips. Young hero Su, it's not that the bandits are weak. It's just that the stronger ones haven't appeared yet. The leader of the Yin Mountain, three ghosts, said. They had roamed the world for many years and knew that these bandits were not that simple. Next, be on full alert. Don't be careless. Zhu Chuan instructed. Yes. The guards of the Zhu family responded. Then, everyone continued to move forward. Sure enough, not long after, the deafening sound of horse hooves could be heard. They're here. Everyone knew that the Real challenge was coming. There's no end to these bandits. This time I'll kill them all. Su Feiyun's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness. Rumble. In the midst of the dust, hundreds of people appeared in front of them. So many people. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Hundreds of people were densely packed in front of them. Who is it that dares to kill my 9th brother? Come out and die. The leader of the bandits was 7 feet tall. His body was full of muscles, and he carried a broadsword on his back. His voice was loud like a bell, and his aura was oppressive. Leader, it's that pretty boy who killed him. One of the bandits pointed at Su Feiyun and shouted, So it's you. Pretty boy, come out and die. The leader roared. I think you're the one who's going to die. Su Feiyun was proud and arrogant. At this time, he was looked down upon by a bandit. Suddenly, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He jumped down from the green scale horse and unsheathed his sword, charging towards the leader. "Kill!" the leader shouted. His tall figure also jumped down from the warhorse, and the broadsword in his hand slashed out a pale, white blade light. Clang! The blade and sword clashed. Su Feiyun's body trembled, and he was forced to retreat. How can he be so strong? Su Feiyun's face changed drastically. Trash! Kill! 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 The great head roared and slashed out with his saber. He slashed out 12 times in a row. The blade light whistled and enveloped Su Feiyun's body. Flying cloud sword technique. Su Feiyun used all his strength and used the flying cloud sword technique. However, he still couldn't stop the leader. In just 10 moves, Su Feiyun was sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The leader's cultivation had reached the peak of the 6th level of the martial master realm. "I'll deal with him." The leader of the 3 ghosts of Inshan moved and rushed out. He used an iron rod and smashed it fiercely at the leader of the bandits. The iron rod smashed down, making a whistling sound as if the air was about to be smashed. The leader of the 3 ghosts of Inshan was also at the peak of the 6th level of the martial master realm. It could be said that his cultivation was the highest among them. Clang! The blade and the iron rod clashed, and the 2 of them took 3 steps back. "There's actually an expert like you. But do you think you can do anything by yourself? Kill!" The leader of the bandits waved his hand, and hundreds of bandits rushed over. "Protect the eldest miss!" Zhu Chuan roared. Dozens of Zhu family guards surrounded the carriage of the eldest miss of the Zhu family. Swish! Lu Ming's eyes turned cold, and he rushed out. Chi! He used the flowing light sword technique, and it was as fast as lightning. Every sword strike would cut the throat of several bandits. Chapter 65. Die. A burly man wielded a large axe and hacked at Lu Ming. This burly man was at the 5th level of the martial master realm. He was definitely a leader among the bandits. However, the 5th level of the martial master realm was nothing in Lu Ming's eyes. With a slight sway of his body, he dodged the axe. Then, with a flash of sword light, the burly man's throat was cut off. Chi! Sword Chi crisscrossed, and no one was a match for him. In the blink of an eye, dozens of people died at Lu Ming's hands. The other 2 members of the Yin Mountain 3 ghosts and Su Feiyun's side were about the same. Other than the leader, the other bandits were only at the peak of the 5th level of the martial master realm. They were not a match for them at all. Even if there were more people, it was useless. In just a moment, hundreds of people were killed. Not good. The enemy is too strong. Retreat! The leader roared. He had exchanged hundreds of blows with the Yin Mountain 3 ghosts, but there was no clear victor. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate today and prepared to retreat. Swish! At this moment, a figure jumped out from among the bandits, like lightning, and pounced towards the Zhu family's eldest daughter's carriage. This figure's speed was unbelievably fast. With a wave of his hand, true energy burst forth. It was even stronger than the leader's. 7th level of the martial master realm. The second brother of the Yin Mountain 3 ghosts shouted. Puff! Puff! The strongest of the Zhu family guards was only at the 1st level of the martial master realm. It was impossible for them to contend against such an expert. More than 10 people were killed by the powerful true energy. It seemed that the figure was about to pounce on the Zhu family's eldest daughter's carriage. At this moment, the coachman, Uncle Fu, let out a long howl. "Zhou Linshan, I knew you would come." Following that, Uncle Fu also leaped up and erupted with a powerful aura. He exchanged a few blows with the figure from before in the air. Boom! Boom! After a few consecutive explosions, energy overflowed in all directions. The 2 of them landed on the ground and retreated a few steps. This coachman is also at the 7th level of the martial master realm. Lu Ming, Su Feiyun, and the others were all shocked. At this moment, everyone saw that the figure who launched the sneak attack was an old man of about 60 years old. Zhu Bing, hand over the vitality replenishing pill and tong. Zhou Linshan shouted, "Hand it over. Let's see if you have the ability to do so." The coachman said coldly. At this moment, his body was no longer stooped. His figure was perfectly straight, and his aura was oppressive. Ta-ta-ta! The sound of horses galloping could be heard continuously. Then, a large group of people appeared on the mountain path. There were also figures flashing in the surrounding forest. In total, there were a few hundred people. They are all experts. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He could tell that the people who appeared later were not the same as the bandits. They were all elites, well-trained and powerful. Those bandits' faces were extremely ugly. The great leader shouted, "Everyone, your matter has nothing to do with us. Can you let us leave?" He wanted to cry. He was baffled. Wasn't it just a robbery? Putting aside the fact that he had encountered a group of experts, there was now a group of them. Zhou Linshan waved his hand and said, "Let them go." Immediately, those people opened up a path for the bandits to escape. After the bandits fled, 7 elders walked in front of Zhou Shanlin and bowed. "Patriarch!" "Patriarch Zhou." Lu Ming and the others' eyes moved, and they all retreated to the side of the carriage. "Zhou Linshan, it seems that your Zhou family is going all out this time." The coachman laughed without a trace of fear. "Zhu Bing, as the ancestor of the Zhu family, you actually played such a trick. How despicable." Zhou Linshan said with a gloomy face. "What, the ancestor of the Zhu family? The coachman is actually the ancestor of the Zhu family?" Yin San, 3 ghosts, Su Feiyun, and the others were shocked. They looked at the coachman, who was the ancestor of the Zhu family, Zhu Bing with a puzzled face. But wasn't the ancestor of the Zhu family seriously injured and waiting for rescue in the dark Blood Mountain? Could it be that everything the Zhu family said was false? Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of light. Sure enough, something was wrong. He had always felt that something was very strange. "Zhu Chuan, what's going on?" The leader of the 3 ghosts looked at Zhu Chuan gloomily. But Zhu Chuan smiled coldly and stood behind Zhu Bing. "Everyone, it seems that you've been deceived by the Zhu family. I'll tell you the truth. The person in the carriage is my granddaughter, Zhou Tong. Tong, Er's father was injured and needed the vitality replenishing pill. She went to buy it, but she didn't expect to be caught by the Zhu family when she bought the vitality replenishing pill. Everyone, this matter is between my Zhou family and the Zhu family. It has nothing to do with you. I hope that you won't interfere. No matter how much money the Zhu family gave you, I'm willing to compensate you double." Zhou Linshan cupped his fists and said, "What?" Su Feiyun and the others were a little stunned. The truth was completely opposite to what the Zhu family said. "Zhu Bing, Zhu Chuan, you dare to deceive us? We, the 3 ghosts of the Yin Mountain, are not so easy to deceive." The leader of the 3 ghosts of the Yin Mountain said coldly. His face was very ugly. The others were the same. "Hee, if we don't do this, how can we lure out the Zhou family and make them come out in full force?" Zhu Bing smiled coldly. At this time, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the surrounding forest. Then, one figure after another appeared and surrounded the Zhou family. "Zhu Bing, you really did have an ambush, but your Zhu family and my Zhou family's strength are on par. Do you think you can destroy my Zhou family like this?" Zhou Linshan said. Zhu Bing smiled and said, "My Zhu clan is naturally unable to annihilate your Zhou clan by itself. But with the addition of the others, so long as they perish together with the elders of your Zhou clan, then would your Zhou clan still be a match for me? Ha! What? Zhu Bing, you actually want us to die together with the Zhou family's elders? I think you're crazy, right? Now, give us the rest of the reward, and we'll turn around and leave." I don't want to get involved in the mess between your two families. The leader of the three ghosts of the Een Mountain looked at Zhu Bing as if he was looking at a madman. That's right, give me the rest of the silver, and I can let bygones be bygones. Su Feiyun's face was also very ugly. He was actually played around by the Zhu family. He secretly decided that after returning, he must lead the people of the Flying Cloud sect to teach the Zhu family a lesson. Lu Ming did not speak. He felt that things were not that simple. Give the silver and you still want to leave? If you leave, how can I destroy the Zhou family? Zhu Bing smiled coldly. Old Zhu, are you fucking dreaming? Well, you don't want to give me the silver, right? I'll leave now, but I'm afraid you can't bear the anger of my Flying Cloud sect. Su Feiyun was furious and turned to leave. Leave, can you leave? You're poisoned now and you still want to leave? You're dreaming. Zhu Bing smiled coldly. Su Feiyun's body suddenly trembled. He turned around and looked at Zhu Bing in disbelief, saying, You dare to poison me? The faces of the three ghosts of the Een Mountain, including the middle-aged woman, were also very ugly. Chapter 66. That's impossible. I've checked every meal that we've eaten. There's no poison at all. The second brother of the Een Mountain, three ghosts shouted. Een Old too, I know you're a poison expert. Moreover, you Een Mountain, three ghosts have been roaming the underworld for many years and are very cautious. You're not as gullible as these kids. Do you think I'll give you a normal poison? Have you heard of the soul-devouring parasite? Zhu Bing smiled faintly. What, parasite poison? Could it be the southern wasteland parasite poison? Een Old too exclaimed. Haha, that's right. I've paid a huge price for this soul-devouring parasite. The soul-devouring parasite is just an extremely tiny parasite. It's impossible to distinguish it when it's placed in the food. Moreover, the common poison testing method is ineffective. Zhu Bing smiled proudly. Damn it. Old man, hand over the antidote. Otherwise, I'll destroy your entire Zhu family. Su Feiyun roared furiously. Zhu Bing said faintly, Unfortunately, there's no antidote for the soul-devouring parasite. What? No antidote? Een Mountain, three ghosts, Su Feiyun, and the women's faces were as pale as paper without a trace of blood. Old man, I'll kill you. Su Feiyun revealed a look of despair and pounced towards Zhu Bing. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this moment, Zhu Bing suddenly made a strange sound. As soon as this sound came out, Su Feiyun's body suddenly stiffened. He then hugged his head with both hands and let out a shrill scream. Ah, it hurts. Su Feiyun roared as he waved his long sword wildly and let out shrill screams. In just a few breaths, when Zhu Bing's voice stopped, Su Feiyun also stopped. However, his eyes were dull as if he had lost his soul and stood there in a daze. Haha, you've been poisoned by the soul-devouring parasite. You're now my puppet and you still want to resist? Zhu Bing sneered. No. Een Mountain, three ghosts couldn't believe their eyes. Zhu Bing, there's a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect here. How dare you attack a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect? If this news gets out, your entire Zhu family will be destroyed. Een Old Een Mountain shouted unwillingly. So what if you're from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect? As long as you're dead, Zhou family. All right, you guys can go together now. Zhu Bing said. Then a squeaking sound came from his mouth. Ah! The Een Mountain, three ghosts, and the others let out shrill screams. Attack! Zhou Linshan shouted and wanted to rush over to stop them. But the Een Mountain, three ghosts were all crazy and terrifying. They exchanged a few blows with the Zhou clan people, and the Zhou clan people were forced to retreat. Even after being poisoned by the goo poison, he was no longer afraid of death. Even his battle prowess had increased by a level. But at this moment, Zhu Bing cried out in disbelief, Lu Ming, why are you fine? At this moment, Lu Ming's face was calm as he stood there, watching everything. What's up? Why would something happen to me? I'm not poisoned, Lu Ming said with a smile. Not poisoned? That's impossible. I've checked every single time. You've eaten every single meal. How can you not be poisoned? Zhu Bing screamed in disbelief. Lu Ming and the others had their own tents. Every meal was sent to them by Zhu Bing, and he had checked every single time to ensure that nothing went wrong. He clearly remembered that Lu Ming had eaten every single meal. Have you forgotten that there are storage rings in this world? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Storage ring? No wonder, no wonder. The disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect are indeed extraordinary. You even have a storage ring at such a young age. It seems that your status in the Mystic Essence Sword sect is not ordinary. Zhu Bing came to a realization. Of all his calculations, he had forgotten about the storage ring. Storage rings were not common goods. On the contrary, they were extremely rare and were basically monopolized by the major forces. Even if one had money, they couldn't buy them. For people like the Een Mountain Three Ghosts, they could still take out hundreds of thousands of silver taels, but they didn't have storage rings because there was no place to buy them. There was a price, but no market. But why are you so cautious? Even if you have a storage ring, you can't not eat at all, right? Zhu Bing asked curiously. Because there's something wrong with you. Lu Ming smiled faintly. From the first day we set off, I felt that something was wrong. The dignified Miss Zhu didn't dare to let anyone see her. Although you said that it was because she wasn't feeling well, there was nothing I could do. I'm a careful person, so I could only eat the dry food I brought. After that, Chen Xian was killed. That's even more suspicious. I observed him on the way. That old man Chen Xian kept glancing at the carriage. I reckon that he's a pervert. Moreover, he's seen Miss Zhu before. So that night, Chen Xian probably couldn't resist his lust and wanted to touch Miss Zhu. After that, he must have found out that this Miss Zhu was fake. That's why he was killed. How could an ordinary person kill him so easily? Now that I think about it, the one who killed him was you. Also, as far as I know, your Zhu family is not weak, but you only sent a few guards to escort me. Moreover, they're all so weak. This is even more suspicious. With so many suspicious points, how could I dare to eat the food you sent? Lu Ming's analysis was clear and logical. Sigh, it's not easy to earn some money these days. In the end, Lu Ming let out a long sigh. Haha, I didn't expect you to be so meticulous at such a young age. But even if you weren't poisoned, so what? Today you still have to die. Zhu Bing's eyes were full of killing intent. With a move of his hand, a long spear appeared in Zhu Bing's hand. Attack! Zhu Bing ordered. The experts of the Zhu family moved one after another and fought with the people of the Zhou family. At the same time, a squeaking sound came from his mouth. The three ghosts of Yinshan and the others let out beast-like roars and pounced on Zhou Linshan and the 7 elders of the Zhou family. Thus, a chaotic battle began. As soon as they started, the Zhou family was completely at a disadvantage. The 3 ghosts of Yinshan and the others were not afraid of death. They erupted with terrifying battle strength and entangled Zhou Linshan and the elders of the Zhou family. However, the elders of the Zhu family were free to kill the other experts of the Zhou family as if they were taking something from their pocket. Lu Ming, you. Let me personally send you on your way. Bang! Zhu Bing stomped his foot and rushed toward Lu Ming like a cannonball. The long spear in his hand was like a bolt of lightning, stabbing straight at Lu Ming's throat. Swoosh! The long sword was unsheathed and the sword light exploded, colliding with the long spear. With a clang, Lu Ming's figure did not move, but Zhu Bing took 3 steps back. Zhu Bing's eyes were filled with disbelief as he roared, "How is this possible? How can a mere 5th-level martial master be so strong?" He was at the early 7th-level martial master, 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. It was simply unbelievable that he was repelled by Lu Ming in one move. Even a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword sect could not be so strong, right? Compared to Ning Feng, it's still a little lacking. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 67. Kill, I must kill him. This Lu Ming is definitely the top genius of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. If he escapes, the Zhu family will be annihilated. Zhu Bing roared in his heart as the killing intent in his eyes intensified. Boom! A powerful aura burst out as Zhu Bing activated his bloodline eruption. Zhu Bing's bloodline was a red snake, a rank 3 bloodline. After the bloodline eruption, his combat power increased by 30%. Die. Astral Fire Spear Art. Fire Dance. Zhu Bing rushed towards Lu Ming. With a wave of the spear in his hand, flaming flowers appeared and enveloped Lu Ming's body. Ultimate Flowing Light. Lu Ming used the fastest move of the Flowing Light sword art. Rays of sword light slashed out towards the flaming flowers. Clang! Clang! Dense sounds of collision rang out as sparks flew in all directions. Lu Ming's figure retreated a few steps. Such a powerful spear art. The power of this spear art has already surpassed my flowing light sword art. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He had already cultivated the flowing light sword art to the 5th level. Could it be that Zhu Bing had also cultivated a yellow class upper martial skill to the 6th level? Otherwise, how could he be so strong? Astral Fire Spear Art. Chasing lightning. Zhu Bing's figure swayed slightly as he thrust his spear towards Lu Ming. This spear was unbelievably fast, like a red lightning bolt. The spear pierced through the air and made an ear-piercing sound. Lu Ming took a step forward and used the dragon snake steps to dodge the spear. Chi. Astral Fire Spear Art. Moon Seizing. After his spear missed, Zhu Bing's spear momentum changed as he swept his spear out. The spear swept out like a crescent moon. Clang! Lu Ming blocked with his sword and retreated at the same time, borrowing the force of the attack. This Zhu Bing's actual combat power is not as strong as Ningfeng's, but with this spear art, his strength is slightly above Ningfeng's. No, I must end this quickly. Lu Ming's mind raced. At this moment, the Zhou clan had already fallen into a disadvantageous position. He couldn't wait any longer. Otherwise, when the Zhou clan's elders were free to attack him together, he would have a headache. Thinking of this, Lu Ming rushed towards Zhu Bing. At the same time, his body flashed with a bloody light. Bloodline explosion. Die! Astral Fire Spear Art. Broken armor. Zhu Bing's spear stabbed towards Lu Ming. The tip of the spear faintly had a rotating, cutting force. But Lu Ming didn't care. He just needed to avoid the real spear tip. Clang! Lu Ming swung his sword and blocked the spear. Then he slid forward along the spear and punched out. He completely ignored the rotating, cutting power of the spear. Lu Ming's bloodline was now at the 4th rank. When his bloodline activated, his battle prowess increased by 40%. This punch was unstoppable. Although Zhu Bing struck out with his other hand, he could only muster 50% of his true qi in a hurry. How could he block Lu Ming? Bang! With a loud bang, Zhu Bing's body shook violently. He retreated a dozen steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Swoosh! Lu Ming executed the dragon snake steps. He covered 70 feet in one step and appeared in front of Zhu Bing instantly. A ray of sword gleam flashed past like a flying immortal. Pucci! Zhu Bing's head flew far away. His eyes were wide open and filled with disbelief. The Zhu family's ancestor, Zhu Bing, had tried his best, but he was killed by Lu Ming in a single strike. This Zhu family's ancestor actually has a storage ring. That's good for me. He saw clearly that the Zhu family's ancestor's spear appeared out of thin air. But thinking about it, the Zhu family's ancestor had lived for so many years. It was possible for him to find a way to get a storage ring. Lu Ming walked to Zhu Bing's corpse and took off the ring on his finger. He kept it in the Temple of Paragon. Then, a devouring force was produced and devoured Zhu Bing's blood essence. Ancestor. The ancestor is dead. The Zhu family's ancestor was killed, and the Zhu family was in chaos. Roar. Kill. Without the control of the Zhu family's ancestor, the Yin Mountain three ghosts and the rest roared and attacked randomly. Whether it was the Zhu family or the Zhou family, they attacked without any order. They were like crazy beasts. Retreat. At this moment, the Zhou family's patriarch, Zhou Linshan, and the rest quickly retreated and then attacked the rest of the Zhu family. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he looked around and sneered, Zhu family, I, Lu Ming, am not that easy to deceive. You have to pay the price for deceiving me. Swoosh! Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he charged towards the Zhu family's elders. Puchi! Puchi! The Zhu family's elders were all rank 6 martial masters, but they were no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's sword light flashed, leaving behind corpses. Their blood essence was devoured by Lu Ming. After killing the Zhu family's elders, Lu Ming did not continue to attack. Instead, his figure flashed, and he focused on devouring the blood essence of those who had died in battle. As long as they were martial masters and above, their blood essence would be devoured by him. Waves of energy surged out from the bloodline and entered his body. They were absorbed by Lu Ming and transformed into true qi. When all the blood essence was refined, Lu Ming's cultivation level was raised to the peak of the intermediate 5th level martial master. He was 1 step away from the late 5th level martial master. At this moment, the battle was coming to an end. The Zhu family's patriarch and several elders were all killed by Lu Ming. How could the remaining elders be a match for Zhou Linshan and the rest? They were all killed one by one. Seeing this, the other Zhu family disciples lost their morale and fled for their lives. On the mountain path and in the forest, corpses were left behind. The smell of blood filled the air, and it was like purgatory on earth. In this battle, the Zhu family left behind more than 200 corpses, while the Zhou family also lost more than 100 people. However, the upper echelons of the Zhou family did not die, while the upper echelons of the Zhu family were almost all dead. One could imagine that after this battle, the Zhu family would definitely be annexed by the Zhou family. However, Lu Ming did not care about all of this. Roar! Roar! The Yin Mountain 3 ghosts, Su Feiyun and the rest were still roaring, but they had obviously exhausted their strength and collapsed on the ground. Soon they stopped breathing. Young hero, thank you for saving me this time. At this moment, Zhou Linshan walked over and cupped his fists to Lu Ming. He bowed and sincerely thanked him. If Lu Ming had not taken action this time and killed the patriarch of the Zhu family and a few elders of the Zhu family, the outcome would have been completely reversed. He was sincerely grateful to Lu Ming. Patriarch Zhou, you're welcome. I was just protecting myself. Inside, he smiled and cupped his hands. Zhou Linshan smiled, but when his gaze landed on the sword in Lu Ming's hand, his expression suddenly changed, and he cried out involuntarily, Heavenly Star Sword, why is the Heavenly Star Sword in your hands? As soon as these words came out, Lu Ming's heart suddenly trembled. His eyes flashed, and he said, How do you know the name of this sword? Do you know my father? Your father? Are you Brother Yuntian's son? Zhou Linshan was pleasantly surprised. That's right, I am Lu Yuntian's son. Lu Ming stared closely at Zhou Linshan. Ha ha ha, back then, I personally gave this Heavenly Star sword to your mother. How could I not know the name of this sword? Chapter 68. Upon hearing this, Lu Ming's eyes widened, and he said anxiously, Are you saying that you were the one who gave my mother this sword back then? That's right. Zhou Linshan stroked his beard and nodded. I remember that there was a bronze pendant in addition to this sword. Lu Ming no longer had any doubts. He cupped his fists and said, Lu Ming greets Patriarch Zhou. Haha, long time no see. I didn't expect you to be so old and have such a high cultivation. Zhou Linshan laughed and said, Let's go over there and talk. Soon, the two of them arrived at a hillside. Zhou Linshan told Lu Ming about him and Lu Yuntian. It turned out that 8 years ago, Zhou Linshan was in danger when he was traveling. It was Lu Yuntian who saved him. Later on, the two of them got along well and became close friends. About 7 years ago, Lu Yuntian found Zhou Linshan and gave him 2 things. One was the Heavenly Star sword and the other was a bronze pendant. He also told Zhou Linshan that if something happened to him, he should wait for 2 years before secretly giving these 2 things to Li Ping. Lu Ming suddenly understood. No wonder Lu Yuntian said that something had happened to him and only sent these 2 things 2 years later. He had been curious about it before. Patriarch Zhou, I want to know how my father died. Who killed him? Lu Ming clenched his fists, his eyes full of murderous intent. Since Lu Yuntian had given these 2 things to Zhou Linshan in advance and said that something would happen to him, it was obvious that he knew who was after him. Who was after Lu Yuntian? Perhaps Zhou Linshan knew something. Sure enough, Zhou Linshan frowned and hesitated for a long time before saying, "Nephew Lu Ming, your father might not be dead." Rumble. It was as if thunder had exploded in Lu Ming's heart. Not dead? Lu Ming's eyes widened rapidly. Then, ecstasy filled his heart. Uncle Zhou, are you saying that my father is not dead? Then where is he? Why haven't you come home for so many years? Lu Ming's heart was trembling. Even his voice was trembling. If my guess is correct, Brother Yuntian should be under someone's control. Zhou Linshan pondered for a moment and said, "It's under control? Who? Who is it?" Lu Ming clenched his fists and asked with bloodshot eyes. Zhou Linshan frowned and said after a while, "Nephew, I can tell you, but you must promise me that you won't act rashly. Otherwise, you'll just die for nothing. Otherwise, I'd rather not tell you than let you die for nothing." Lu Ming took a deep breath to calm himself down and said, "Uncle Zhou, don't worry. I won't act rashly before I'm strong enough." Seeing Lu Ming's incomparably resolute gaze, Zhou Linshan let out a long sigh and said, "All right, I'll tell you. Brother Yuntian is very likely in the capital, and the person who acted should be someone from the 10 Directions Sword Sect." The Imperial City, 10 Directions Sword Sect. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly emitted a shocking light. Zhou Linshan was shocked and hurriedly said, "The Imperial City is now under the control of the 10 Directions Sword Sect. The 10 Directions Sword Sect is the head of the 5 sects of the Burning Sun Empire. Don't act rashly. Don't worry, Uncle Zhou. I know what to do." Lu Ming took a deep breath and said, "Among the 5 sects of the Burning Sun Empire, the 10 Directions Sword Sect was ranked first. It occupied a large area of fertile land in the center of the Burning Sun Empire. Its strength was so strong that even the Mystic Essence Sword Sect was inferior to it. Naturally, he would not act rashly to save his father. Otherwise, he would be killed before he could even see his father's face. His current strength was God knows how many times weaker than the entire 10 Directions Sword Sect. If my father is really under control and hasn't been killed for so many years, then it's obvious that my father has something that the 10 Directions Sword Sect needs. Then he should be fine. But this kind of thing no one can guarantee. Strength. I have to improve my strength faster. If I'm strong enough now, I can directly kill my way to the Imperial City and the 10 Directions Sword Sect. But it won't take long. Father, it won't take long. I will definitely save you." Lu Ming clenched his fists. His eyes were extremely firm and his body was filled with a strong fighting spirit. "That's good. Alas, it's my fault that I'm not strong enough. For so many years, I've been thinking about Brother Yuntian, but I couldn't save him. Today, my nephew saved me. I owe you and your father too much." Zhou Linshan sighed. "Uncle Zhou, how can I blame you? After all, the other party is the 10 Directions Sword Sect. I'm already very grateful that you helped to give this sword to us." Lu Ming comforted him, but Zhou Linshan still sighed. After a while he asked, Nephew, where do you plan to go next? I plan to go to the Dark Blood Mountain. There's a mission there. Lu Ming did not hide it. Dark Blood Mountain? It's not far from here, but there are many demon beasts in the Dark Blood Mountain. Nephew, you must be careful. I have to send Tong back. Tong? His father needs the vitality replenishing pill. Nephew, if you have time, come visit the Zhou family. Zhou Linshan invited. Okay, I'll definitely visit when I have time. Then, Lu Ming will take his leave now. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed. Then his figure flashed, and he chose an azure scale horse on the mountain path. He rode on the azure scale horse and continued towards the Dark Blood Mountain. Looking at Lu Ming's departing figure, Zhou Linshan's eyes were filled with anticipation. He muttered to himself, Brother Yuntian, nephew Lu Ming has joined the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. At such a young age, he already has such a cultivation. Perhaps, in the future, he can really save you? The azure scale horse galloped all the way. After galloping for more than 100 miles, Lu Ming stopped in a valley. Lu Ming sat on a piece of green rock, staring blankly. More than 6 years ago, when he first heard that something had happened to Lu Yuntian, he didn't believe it. He didn't believe that the indomitable man in his eyes would die. But as time passed, there was still no news of Lu Yuntian. Lu Ming gradually believed that Lu Yuntian was really dead. But today, he suddenly found out that Lu Yuntian might still be alive. He was extremely excited. If Mother knew this news, she would be so happy. No, I can't let Mother know yet. If she knew that Father is in the hands of the 10 Direction Sword Sect, she would be even more worried. Father, you must wait for me. Ming, I will definitely save you. I, Lu Ming, swear that no matter who you are, I will make you pay the price. Lu Ming's thoughts drifted, and the time when Lu Yuntian was still alive appeared in his mind. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming finally snapped out of his thoughts. Then, with a thought, Lu Ming appeared in the Temple of Paragon. He was now on the 2nd platform of the Temple of Paragon. As for the 3rd platform, he still couldn't go up. He didn't know what cultivation was required to go up. Then, Lu Ming picked up the storage ring he got from Zhu Bing. Chapter 69. His mind sank into the storage ring, and a small space appeared in Lu Ming's mind. The space was about a square meter, about the same size as the storage ring he had obtained from Duanmu Ju. There were a few boxes scattered in the space. With a wave of his hand, the boxes appeared on the platform of the Temple of Paragon. First, a small box appeared in front of Lu Ming's eyes. The box was lined with gold and looked luxurious. When he opened the box, it turned out to be a book. The flaming astral spear art was a martial technique. Lu Ming couldn't help but recall the spear art Zhu Bing had used. Wasn't it called the flaming astral spear art? The power of the spear art was still fresh in his mind. He opened it expectantly. At one glance, Lu Ming was taken aback. A black-level martial technique. This spear art was a black-level martial technique. A low black-level martial technique, the flaming astral spear art. No wonder it's so powerful. It's a black-level martial technique. I'm rich. Lu Ming was ecstatic. A black-level martial technique was many times more valuable than a yellow-level martial technique. Lu Ming couldn't wait to read it. The more he read, the more shocked he was. What a strong power! Yellow-level martial skills are nothing compared to it. The difference is like heaven and earth. That Zhu Bing is probably only at the 1st level. Lu Ming muttered to himself. Generally speaking, as long as a low black-level martial technique was cultivated to the 1st level, its power would be comparable to the 6th level of a superior yellow-level martial technique. If the 1st level was comparable to the 6th level of a superior yellow-level martial technique, one could imagine how powerful a black-level martial technique was. But at the same time, a black-level martial technique was many times more difficult than a yellow-level martial technique. An ordinary martial master would have a hard time cultivating it. unless one was a top genius. Zhu Bing had cultivated bitterly for several decades and had barely reached the first level. I wonder how many contribution points it would cost to exchange for a black-level martial technique in the Mystic Yuan Sword Sect's library. It's a pity that it's a spear art. I'm a swordsman, so I can't cultivate it. Lu Ming sighed. Wait. Lu Ming's eyes darkened, then brightened. He whispered, "Who said that I'm a swordsman? I cultivate the true dragon battle incantation. And what I cultivate is dragon-shaped true energy. My spear is like a dragon. Maybe I've been going in the wrong direction all this time." Lu Ming had always wanted to travel the world with a sword since he was young. However, during this period of time, the flowing light sword art had been stuck at the 5th level, unable to break through to the 6th level, man and martial arts as one. Of course, it had to do with one's personality, cultivation technique, and even the bloodline they had awakened. Lu Ming cultivated the true dragon battle art, so his bloodline was a little like a snake's. Wouldn't that make him more compatible with the spear? Lu Ming picked up Zhu Bing's spear and thrust it forward. Whoosh! The spear pierced through the air, making a sharp whistling sound. The moment Lu Ming thrust the spear, the dragon-shaped true qi in his body surged out along the spear. Crackle! A ray of spear light shot out like a dragon, piercing through the air and making crackling sounds. My true qi is smoother now. I'm indeed more suitable for spear practice. Lu Ming sighed. Looks like I'll have to cultivate my spear skills when I go back, but I'll put it aside for now. Let's see what's in the other boxes. Lu Ming put down the spear and looked at the other boxes. 2 of the bigger boxes were filled with jewelry, gold, and silver. The other box, which was slightly smaller, was filled with gold and silver notes. 1 tael of gold was equivalent to 10 taels of silver. With a rough estimate, there were at least 2 million taels of silver in these boxes. This made Lu Ming ecstatic. 2 million taels of silver was equivalent to 20,000 contribution points. How much blood essence could he exchange for? This was not even a profound level martial skill. What about the astral fire spear art? This time, he did not come out for nothing. However, this time, Lu Ming truly understood what it meant to be dangerous in the pugilistic world. Not only was the competition in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect fierce, it was even more fierce in other places. In order to survive, in order to obtain resources, people would fight endlessly. Even if you were a disciple of a big sect, you could die if you were not careful. Just like this time, Zhu Bing knew that he was a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, but still dared to attack him. If he was not careful enough, he would have become Zhu Bing's pawn and died under the poison. Everyone was fighting. If you did not move forward, you would be surpassed by others and become their stepping stone. Lu Ming was not willing to become someone's stepping stone, so he had to work hard. He wanted others to be his stepping stone. After checking, Lu Ming left the Temple of Paragon and continued to move towards the dark Blood Mountain. A day later, a majestic mountain appeared in front of Lu Ming. The dark Blood Mountain spanned thousands of miles. It was a very famous mountain in the east of the Blazing Sun Empire, because the entire dark Blood Mountain was dark red. The earth was dark red, the stones were dark red, and even the plants were dark red as if they were soaked in blood. That was why it was called the Dark Blood Mountain. Legend had it that the Dark Blood Mountain was not originally like this. After an unknown period of time, a peerless expert once fought with someone. Blood spilled and seeped into the mountains and rivers. That was how the Dark Blood Mountain was formed. If this was true, it would be extremely shocking. What kind of existence was this? How could there be so much blood that it dyed the mountains red? Regardless of whether it was true or not, there were indeed some very strange treasures in the Dark Blood Mountain that attracted many people to search for them. For example, the blood flower and the dark blood stone that Lu Ming needed for his mission were one of them. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming rushed into the Dark Blood Mountain. It was indeed very strange. The trees that entered his sight were all dark red. The stones under his feet were also dark red. Lu Ming moved forward, looking around to see if he could find the blood flower. Whoosh! Suddenly, a red light shot towards Lu Ming. Clang! He unsheathed his sword and cut the red light in half. Looking closely, it turned out to be a dark red scorpion. This scorpion was highly poisonous. Lu Ming slowed down and carefully observed his surroundings. A few miles later, roar! Roar! More than a dozen dark red giant wolves surrounded Lu Ming. These were the unique dark blood wolves of the Dark Blood Mountain. They were 5 meters tall and 3 meters long. Each of them was a Class 1 LV2 demonic beast. There were even a few Class 2 LV2 demonic beasts. Roar! Roar! Chapter 70. Ultimate Flowing Light. The sword radiance flashed across the sky like lightning, causing blood to spurt out. When the sword radiance faded, more than a dozen dark blood wolves had been killed. Immediately, Lu Ming controlled his bloodline and devoured all the blood essence of the dark blood wolves. The blood essence of the dark blood wolves is rich in life essence. Lu Ming's eyes lit up during the refining process. He found that the blood essence of the dark blood wolves contained twice as much life essence as other beasts of the same level. The blood essence of a Class 1 LV2 dark blood wolf was almost comparable to that of a Class 2 LV2 beast. The blood essence of a Class 2 dark blood wolf was almost comparable to that of a Class 3 LV2 beast. Are all the beasts in the Dark Blood Mountain like this? The life essence in their blood essence is richer than that of the beasts outside. Lu Ming guessed in his heart. Then he continued to move forward. He encountered many beasts along the way, but they were all killed by Lu Ming. Sure enough, regardless of the species of the beasts here, the life essence of the beasts was indeed richer. However, most of them were Class 1 or 2 Class 2 LV2 beasts. A few of them had reached Class 4 or 5 Class 2 LV2, which had a limited effect on Lu Ming. In this way, Lu Ming hunted beasts in the Dark Blood Mountain while searching for blood flowers. However, 3 days had passed, and Lu Ming had not found a single blood flower. The efficiency was really low. As for the dark bloodstone that Lu Ming needed the most, there was no trace of it. Lu Ming had no choice but to continue searching. He would treat it as cultivation. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed. In total, Lu Ming had been in the Dark Blood Mountain for 10 days. At this time, Lu Ming finally found a blood flower. After so many days, his cultivation had improved to the late stage of the Martial Master Realm, and he was not far from the peak. Hiss, a dark red anaconda, was slithering at high speed, and Lu Ming was hot on its heels. This giant python was a demonic beast at the peak of Class 6 LV2. It was rare to encounter such a high-level demonic beast in the Dark Blood Mountain. Lu Ming did not want to let it go. However, the python's speed was extremely fast. With a twist of its body, it covered a distance of tens of meters. Even with Lu Ming's dragon snake steps, he was unable to catch up to it. The snake and the man kept running forward. Before he knew it, he had already traveled several dozen li and arrived at a dense forest. At this time, the giant python gradually slowed down. Let's see where you can run to now. Lu Ming smiled, and the sword light slashed towards the giant python. Hiss! The giant python hissed and spat out wisps of poisonous gas at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure flashed and dodged the attack. Then he took a step forward and rushed towards the giant python. The sword light flashed and left a long wound on the giant python's body. Fresh blood flowed out. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. He felt a burning pain on his skin, as if it was being corroded by something. What happened? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. I clearly dodged the giant python's poisonous gas. How did this happen? Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he scanned his surroundings. At this moment, he realized that there was a faint, dark, red blood qi in the air. If one didn't pay attention, they wouldn't be able to see it. Could it be that this blood qi is poisonous? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He immediately circulated his true qi and covered his entire body to resist the blood qi. Hiss! When the blood qi collided with the true qi, it actually made a sizzling sound, as if it was corroding the true qi. What a powerful poison qi! At this moment, the giant python was dragging its injured body and swimming forward. Lu Ming went over and cut off the giant python's head. Then, with a thought, the blood qi that looked like a small snake appeared. It opened its mouth and sucked. 9 drops of blood essence flew out from the giant python's body and were swallowed by the small snake. However, it wasn't over yet. The small snake continued to suck. The red blood qi beside Lu Ming was directly sucked into the small snake's mouth. Then there was a sizzling sound, as if the blood qi was being refined. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. How could this work? But this way, there was no more blood qi around Lu Ming's body. The feeling of corrosion on his skin also disappeared without a trace. This is good too. I can take a look at what this place is. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. He continued to move forward. The more he moved forward, the denser the red blood qi became. However, the small snake kept absorbing. There was always a vacuum around Lu Ming's body, and the blood qi couldn't enter. This blood qi was swallowed and refined by the spirit-devouring bloodline, and it would also be transformed into wisps of energy. However, this energy wasn't very strong and wasn't very useful for improving one's cultivation. After moving forward for a few thousand meters, a faint smell of blood came. Lu Ming's face changed slightly. After moving forward for another 100 meters, a pool appeared in front of Lu Ming. This pool wasn't big, only 10 meters in length and width. However, there wasn't water in the pool, but a dark red liquid. The pool was filled with a dark red liquid that looked like fresh blood. The faint smell of blood was obviously coming from the pool. The smell of blood in the air was also emitted from the pool. There were small red flowers growing on the edge of the pool. Looking at these small flowers, Lu Ming was ecstatic. Blood-lingering flowers. These are all blood-lingering flowers. Ha ha ha, it's really easy to find them by chance. Lu Ming laughed. Then, Lu Ming walked to the edge of the pool and carefully picked the flowers. The liquid in the pool was obviously poisonous. Lu Ming didn't want to touch it. Half an hour later, all the blood-lingering flowers were picked by Lu Ming. There were a total of 54 flowers. Including the one he found earlier, there were 55 flowers. This was a big harvest. One flower was 100 contribution points. 55 flowers would be 5,500 contribution points. After picking, Lu Ming looked at the liquid in the pool again. Although the liquid was poisonous, it obviously contained powerful energy essence. Otherwise, it couldn't have nurtured so many blood-lingering flowers. Can the spirit-devouring bloodline devour and refine this liquid? Lu Ming pondered. Let's try devouring a drop first. Lu Ming's eyes hardened. If he wanted to quickly improve his cultivation and embark on the path of martial arts experts, it was impossible to not take some risks. Then Lu Ming ran his true qi and scooped up a drop of the red liquid. He then controlled his bloodline to devour this drop of liquid. Sizzle. Lu Ming seemed to be able to feel a sizzling sound in his bloodline. Then, a surge of energy entered Lu Ming's body. It really works. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Then Lu Ming sat cross-legged beside the pool and controlled the spirit-devouring bloodline to devour and refine the liquid. Of course, Lu Ming didn't dare to devour too much at once. Instead, he devoured it in wisps. Indeed, the spirit-devouring bloodline devoured and refined this liquid much slower than the blood essence of demonic beasts. However, it was still many times faster than directly absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Lu Ming's cultivation began to rise rapidly again. Half a day later, Lu Ming reached the peak of the 5th level of the Martial Master Realm. 3 days later, Lu Ming broke through and reached the 6th level of the Martial Master Realm. But it wasn't over yet. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. This cultivation lasted for more than 20 days. In total, Lu Ming had cultivated here for a month. Chapter 71. In just over a month, Lu Ming's cultivation had increased by 2 levels. This speed was extremely shocking. The liquid here might be poisonous to others, but to me it's a treasure. Unfortunately, this is something that can only be found by chance. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then he opened his mouth and spat out a column of air. It was like a sharp sword that shot out a few meters away. 7th grade martial master is indeed powerful. It's much stronger than a 5th grade martial master. Now I can fight with Ning Feng in one move. Feeling the dragon-shaped qi surging in his body, Lu Ming was overjoyed. Rustle! At this moment, a rustling sound was heard. The sound came from the pit. When Lin Fan looked over, he saw a dark red worm crawling in the pit. This worm was thicker than a thumb and more than a foot long. Its body was crystal clear like blood jade, and it had a mouthful of sharp fangs. When it saw Lu Ming, it seemed to be shocked. It twisted its body and quickly shot into the distance. This is a blood breath worm. Lu Ming was stunned for a moment before he was overjoyed. According to the records, the blood breath worm was accompanied by dark bloodstones. This meant that there would definitely be dark bloodstones where the blood breath worm lived. He did not expect that there would be a blood breath worm in this pond. Without hesitation, Lu Ming rushed over and followed closely behind the blood breath worm. When the blood breath worm saw Lu Ming chasing after it, it twisted its body even faster and rushed forward. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Lu Ming smiled faintly and strode forward, following closely behind the blood breath bugs. After about 1,000 meters, the blood breath worm suddenly drilled into the ground and disappeared. Oh no! The blood breath worm can drill into the ground. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He rushed over, but the blood breath worm had already disappeared. Swish! Lu Ming leaped onto a big tree and scanned the surroundings. Indeed, not long after, the blood breath worm drilled out of the ground 100 meters away and rushed forward. I can't get too close. That will only disturb it and prevent it from running back to its resting place. At that moment, Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he leaped onto another big tree. Just like that, he leaped on the tree trunk, restrained his aura, and followed closely behind the blood breath worm. They crossed over mountains and valleys and traveled for dozens of miles. At this moment, the blood breath bug stopped again. It drilled into the ground and disappeared. Could it be here? Lu Ming pondered for a moment. He wasn't in a hurry to rush out. Instead, he began to observe. After a while, there was still no movement. Lu Ming was certain that the habitat of the blood breath worms should be here. Lu Ming moved to the place where the blood breath bugs had disappeared. Looks like it's here. The dark blood stone should be below. Then he took out the black-edged sword that he used before and used it as a shovel to dig. With Lu Ming's cultivation and the sharpness of the obsidian sword, the speed at which he dug out the rocks was extremely fast. Soon, he dug out a deep pit that was a few meters deep. At this moment, a red light shot out with a swoosh. It was the blood breath bug. After the blood breath bug rushed out, it didn't stop and ran away. Lu Ming ignored it and continued to dig. Soon, a faint fragrance wafted out. It smelled like sandalwood. Lu Ming perked up. According to the records, although the dark bloodstone was called the dark bloodstone, it didn't have the smell of blood. Instead, it had the smell of sandalwood. With this smell, it meant that there must be a dark bloodstone here. Lu Ming dug even harder. As a rock was dug out, a thick fragrance wafted out. Below, a fist-sized stone that was covered with blood-colored lines appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. It was the dark bloodstone. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He took out the dark bloodstone and looked at it carefully. This was required for the third or even the fourth level of the true dragon of battle art. After looking at it, he kept it in the Temple of Paragon. But in the next moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. This was because there was a sandalwood fragrance wafting out from below. Is there another dark bloodstone? Lu Ming was overjoyed. He quickly dug with all his might. Sure enough, he didn't dig too deep before he found another dark bloodstone. It was still the size of a fist and emitted a strong sandalwood fragrance. Ha ha ha, I'm so lucky. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He took out the dark bloodstone, but there was still a sandalwood fragrance wafting out from below. There's more? This time, even Lu Ming was a little stunned. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. He heard the sound of something breaking through the air. There's a sandalwood fragrance. It's the dark bloodstone. Hurry up. There was a commotion. Then, 5 to 6 figures appeared. Swoosh! Swoosh! In the forest, 6 figures suddenly appeared and surrounded Lu Ming. They didn't hide their auras at all. They burst out and shrouded Lu Ming. 4 of them were level 7 martial masters, and 2 were at the peak of level 6 martial masters. There were men and women among the 6, but they were all very young. They were about 18 or 19 years old. At this moment, the 6 of them were looking at the big hole that Lu Ming had dug. There is indeed a dark bloodstone. Kid, you can get lost now. The dark bloodstone here belongs to us. A hook-nosed young man looked at Lu Ming and said coldly, Everyone, I found this place first. Lu Ming smiled faintly. So what if you found it first? It belongs to us now. The hook-nosed young man sneered. He was extremely arrogant. So you want to rob me? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Lu Ming smiled faintly, looking calm and collected. Kid, you are courting death. The hook-nosed young man shouted coldly. Then he clawed at Lu Ming. 5 sharp claw radiances pierced Lu Ming's chest. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. Bam! Crack! There was a loud bang followed by a cracking sound. Then the hook-nosed young man screamed miserably and retreated a dozen steps. One of his hands was trembling nonstop and blood kept flowing out. His 5 fingers had been broken by Lu Ming's punch. Brat, how dare you? Do you know who we are? We are disciples of the Black Essence Sword Sect's Azure Dragon Hall. How dare you injure me? You are dead. Ah, my hand! The hook-nosed young man screamed and roared. Disciples of the Azure Dragon Hall? No wonder your cultivation is not weak at such a young age. Lu Ming's expression changed. I remember now. You are Lu Ming, this year's newcomer king Lu Ming. I saw you from afar at the end of the previous trial. Suddenly, a female disciple shouted. What? He is Lu Ming? The others could not help but exclaim. I didn't expect you to recognize me. Lu Ming touched his nose and smiled faintly. Lu Ming, although you are the newcomer king, let me give you a piece of advice. Quickly get out of the way and leave. We can pretend that nothing happened today. This is because senior brother Yao Tianyu needs the dark bloodstone. We are also under senior brother Yao Tianyu's orders to look for the dark bloodstone. The woman's tone was filled with confidence. Chapter 72. Who would have known that Lu Ming's next sentence almost caused her to suffer internal injuries? Who is Yao Tianyu? What does it have to do with me that he needs the dark bloodstone? Now get lost. I'll let you go since we're both from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Lu Ming waved his hand impatiently. How dare you? Senior brother Yao Tianyu is a genius on the bronze list. He's the leader of all the bronze disciples. Are you tired of living? The young lady shouted angrily. Her face flushed red. So you're on the bronze list. No wonder you're so arrogant. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. The bronze list was a list of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect's 4 great halls. Those who could be on the list were the top geniuses among the bronze disciples. Each one of them was terrifyingly strong. They stood at the peak of the bronze disciples. But what did it have to do with Lu Ming? Who cares if she's a bronze list disciple? Does that mean she can snatch my dark bloodstone? When the lady saw Lu Ming in a daze, she thought that Lu Ming was scared after hearing about the bronze list. She sneered and said, "Lu Ming, hand over the dark bloodstone now and follow us to kowtow to senior brother Yao Tianyu. Perhaps senior brother Yao Tianyu will let bygones be bygones." Hand over the dark bloodstone? Kowtow to apologize? Lu Ming looked at the lady strangely as if he was looking at an idiot. He then said, "You're all bronze disciples of the mystic essence sword sect. Is there something wrong with your brains?" The young lady was stunned and only reacted after a while. She was trembling with anger and shrieked, "Lu Ming, what did you say? You're courting death. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Let's attack together and cripple him. We'll bring him to senior brother Yao Tianyu and let him deal with him." The hook-nosed youth shouted with a sinister face, "Attack!" The 6 of them attacked at the same time towards Lu Ming. Sword chi, saber light, claw energy, palm wind instantly covered Lu Ming's body. "You're courting death." Lu Ming's eyes darkened, and with a movement of his hand, the heavenly star sword appeared in his hand. Sword light flashed, and he instantly slashed out over 10 times. Ah! Ah! 6 blood-curdling screams were heard as the 6 youths from the Azure Dragon Institute quickly retreated. The 6 of them retreated more than 10 steps before they could regain their footing. On each of their chests there was a deep sword wound that was bleeding profusely. He had injured 6 people with a single strike. How can he be so strong? How could this be? More than a month ago, I heard that he defeated Ningfeng, but it was only a difficult victory. It has only been a month. How can he be so strong? The 6 young men's faces were deathly pale, without a trace of blood. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. "Go. Let's go. This person is undefeatable," that woman screamed, quickly backing up, almost scared out of her wits. Whoosh! Whoosh! The other 5 people didn't dare to stay any longer and ran for their lives. Lu Ming's eyes flickered a few times, but he didn't pursue. The 6 of them had scattered and fled. He did not have the confidence to capture all of them. After that, Lu Ming continued to dig. Next, Lu Ming dug out 2 more dark bloodstones. There were a total of 4 dark bloodstones in this place. "It's enough." Lu Ming laughed. After checking that there were no more dark bloodstones, Lu Ming turned around and left. Blood-lingering flower and dark bloodstone have been found. It's time to return to the sect. Lu Ming smiled. Although there were some twists and turns on this trip, everything went smoothly. His figure didn't stop as he headed out of the dark blood mountain. On the way, he encountered a lone dark blood wolf. He tamed it and used it as a mount. The green scale horse had been left outside for so long. He didn't know where it had run off to. This dark blood wolf was a Class 2 second LV. It was extremely strong and powerful. It was not comparable to the green scale horse. Crossing over the mountains was like walking on flat ground. Soon he was out of the dark blood mountain and headed in the direction of the mystic essence sword sect. In the depths of the dark blood mountain, a figure was sitting cross-legged on a large rock on a mountain peak. This figure appeared to be around 17 years old. He had a handsome appearance and a stern expression. Just by sitting there casually, he emitted a sharp aura. On the side, there were a dozen young men standing there, not daring to breathe. These young men included the 6 young men from before. "Senior brother Yao, this is what happened," the hook-nosed young man reported. This cold young man was the genius on the bronze list, Yao Tianyu. In the martial world, the strong came first. Although Yao Tianyu was young, the others still respectfully called him senior brother. Yao Tianyu frowned slightly and said, "You mean there might be more than one dark bloodstone, and all of them are in the hands of that Lu Ming. That's right, senior brother Yao. That Lu Ming is extremely arrogant. Not only did he injure us, but he also didn't give you any face. We said your name, but Lu Ming said, "Who is Yao Tianyu?" The hook-nosed young man hurriedly replied. Of course, there was a lot of exaggeration. The other 5 people's eyes flashed, but they didn't refute the hook-nosed young man. After Yao Tianyu heard, he let out a cold smile and said, "Are all the newcomers now so arrogant? Lu Ming, newcomer king, dare to be arrogant in front of me? Wait a few years." Then his gaze swept across the crowd and said, "Go, find Lu Ming for me. As long as he's still in the Dark Blood Mountain, I won't let him return to the Vermilion Bird Courtyard." Yes, the young men responded loudly. Then their figures flickered and they went down the mountain peak, disappearing into the forest of the Dark Blood Mountain. Lu Ming! Yao Tianyu whispered as killing intent flashed in his eyes. The Dark Blood Wolf was as fast as lightning, and its speed was much faster than the green scale horse. In less than 7 days, Lu Ming came to Yukong City again. When he passed by the Zhu family, he found that the Zhu family was already empty. Even the door was covered with spider webs. It seemed that the Zhu family had been destroyed by the Zhou family. The divine wilderness continent was like this. Strength was respected. Every day was filled with slaughter. Who knew how many forces were destroyed every day? Lu Ming shook his head and found a restaurant. He ordered some dishes and wine and started eating. Unknowingly, his thoughts drifted to Firestorm City. Yukong City is not far from Firestorm City. It's only a 3-day journey. I don't need 3 days to ride the Dark Blood Wolf. Why don't I go back and see my mother? Lu Ming thought. It had been almost 4 months since he came out. It was time to go back and see. After hurriedly finishing his meal, he went down the restaurant and headed towards Firestorm City. In just a little more than 2 days, he arrived at Firestorm City. Roar! Walking on the streets of Firestorm City, the Dark Blood Wolf let out a long roar, scaring everyone on the street. What a terrifying demon beast! Let's go! Go and ask the experts of the Lu family to suppress it. The demon beast has entered the city. No, look, isn't that the young master of the Lu family, Lu Ming? It's him, it's really him. There was an uproar nearby. The others distanced themselves from Lu Ming, afraid that they would be bitten to death by the Dark Blood Wolf. Bang! Lu Ming slapped the neck of the Dark Blood Wolf, almost slapping it down. What are you shouting for? Behave yourself, Lu Ming scolded. Woo woo! The Dark Blood Wolf barked like a domestic dog. It was very obedient. Chapter 73. The Dark Blood Wolf followed behind Lu Ming like a puppy. Soon, they arrived at the Lu family mansion. Who's there? Stop! Ah, it's the young master, it's the young master. The guard in front of the Lu clan's residence shouted. However, he immediately reacted and shouted, "The young master is back. Please come in." The guard hurriedly said. Lu Ming smiled and nodded. He walked into the Lu family mansion with the Dark Blood Wolf. "Greetings, young master." "The young master is back. The young master is back." After entering the Lu family mansion, the Lu family members greeted Lu Ming respectfully when they saw him. Then, the news quickly spread throughout the Lu family. The young master is so powerful. He has such a powerful beast with him. Yeah, I feel that this beast is scarier than many of the elders. It is so obedient in front of the young master. That's for sure. The young master is a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Some of the Lu family servants looked at Lu Ming from afar, especially the Dark Blood Wolf. They were talking about it with respect. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and touched his nose. He just caught a Dark Blood Wolf for transportation. He did not expect it to cause such a stir. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the main family mansion. At the entrance of the main family mansion, Li Ping was already waiting. Apparently, she had heard the news. Ming. At the sight of Lu Ming, Li Ping revealed a happy smile. "Mother, I'm back to see you," Lu Ming said affectionately. He then patted the dark blood wolf's neck and said, "Lie down at the entrance and don't move. Otherwise, I'll kill you to go with my wine." "Woo woo!" The dark blood wolf cried out pitifully and lay down on the ground obediently. Li Ping and the maidservants behind her were dumbfounded by what they saw. "Mother, let's talk inside," Lu Ming said. Okay, Li Ping said. In the courtyard of the main family mansion, there was a stone table. Li Ping's maids had already prepared snacks and tea. "Ming, how have you been?" Li Ping asked with concern. Looking at Li Ping's concerned eyes, Lu Ming felt warm in his heart. "Don't worry, I'm fine. Don't you think I've gotten stronger?" After saying that, he even waved his arm. "Look at how proud you are." Then she changed the topic and asked, "Ming, what about Mid-Autumn Moon? Didn't they come back together?" Lu Ming smiled and said, "Mother, Autumn Moon is fine. She is now a genius disciple of the mystic essence sword sect." Lu Ming briefly recounted what had happened to them during this period of time. Of course, Lu Ming skipped over everything that involved danger, lest Li Ping worry. "I didn't expect Autumn Moon to be so talented. I'm really happy for her." Hearing that Autumn Moon had joined the most mysterious and powerful Qilin courtyard of the mystic essence sword sect, Li Ping was also very happy. Autumn Moon had been with her for many years. She treated Autumn Moon like her own daughter. Now that Autumn Moon had made a name for herself, she was naturally happy. The mother and son chatted one after another. Roar! Suddenly, a loud roar came from outside the door. It was the roar of the dark blood wolf. "Young master, it's us." Then an old voice was heard. "Core elders of the elders' courtyard." Lu Ming's expression changed. He quickly got up and walked out of the door. At this moment, the dark blood wolf stood at the door. Its red fur stood up as it stared at the 5 old men. These 5 old men were the core elders of the elders' courtyard. "What are you doing? Lie down." Lu Ming slapped the dark blood wolf again. The dark blood wolf whimpered and lay down on the ground obediently. "Young master, is this your battle beast? It's so powerful. I'm afraid it's a Class 2 second LV, a core elder said. He looked at the dark blood wolf with fear in his eyes. A Class 2 second LV was equivalent to a LV2 martial master. In the Lu family, most of the elders were only at LV1 martial master. Only a small number of elders and the core elders of the elders' courtyard were above LV2 martial master. This dark blood wolf could be considered a top expert in the Lu family. Young master actually had such a demonic beast as a battle beast? Amazing. The core elders thought in their hearts. "Oh, this dark blood wolf? It's not my battle beast. I caught it on the way. It's not bad. It's faster than the Cyan scale horse." Lu Ming said casually, "Ah, what? You caught it on the way?" The 5 core elders were stunned. Then they exchanged glances with one another, somewhat doubtful of what Lin Fan had said. "Elders, why are you looking for Lu Ming? Is anything the matter?" Lu Ming asked. "It's nothing. Young master hasn't returned for a long time, so we came to see him." The 5 core elders looked at each other, and one of them said. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He felt that the 5 core elders were hiding something from him. Elders, something bad has happened." At this moment, a burly man rushed over and shouted anxiously. The 5 core elders' faces suddenly changed. They asked in unison, "What happened?" The middle-aged burly man looked at the 5 core elders, then looked at Lu Ming and said, "The Sand Snake Bandits and Dry Bone Bandits are attacking again. This time, they are attacking the refined iron ore in the south. The refined iron ore is now surrounded." "What? They are attacking the refined iron ore? Damn it!" One of the core elders roared. The other core elders looked worried as well. "Elders, what's going on?" Lu Ming asked. Young master, it's like this, one of the core elders immediately explained. The Demon Beast Mountain range stretched for thousands of miles across several cities. There were many bandits active in the Demon Beast Mountain range. The Sand Snake Bandits were near Firestorm City. As for the Dry Bone Bandits, they were active in another big city. They were much stronger than the Sand Snake Bandits. About half a month ago, the Sand Snake Bandits and Dry Bone Bandits suddenly colluded and started attacking some of the Liu family's mines and caravans. The Liu family naturally organized experts to surround and suppress them. However, there were many experts among the Dry Bone Bandits. The leader of the Dry Bone Bandits was a Martial Master Realm Level 5 expert. A few days ago, the Liu family's core elders were mobilized. However, the strongest core elder of the Liu family, a Martial Master Realm Level 4 expert, was injured by the leader of the Dry Bone Bandits. He couldn't even get out of bed now. Sand Snake Bandits and Dry Bone Bandits. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He was familiar with the Sand Snake Bandits. His first startup capital was stolen from the Sand Snake Bandits' lair. How audacious! How dare they attack my Liu clan? Let's go. I'll go destroy them. Lu Ming said coldly. Young master, don't act rashly. The leader of the Dry Bone Bandits is a Martial Master Realm Level 5 expert. I know that young master is talented. However, you have just joined the Mystic Essence Sword sect. We can only defend first. After all, the Sand Snake Bandits and Dry Bone Bandits are few in number. It's impossible for them to break through. Hearing that Lu Ming was going to kill them, the 5 core elders' faces changed and they hurriedly advised him. That's right. Ming, don't act rashly. Chapter 74. Mother, 5 elders, don't worry. It's just 2 groups of bandits. I can wipe them out with a flip of my hand. You don't have to worry. Just send someone to lead the way. Lu Ming smiled confidently. All right, but we have to go together. One of the core elders said. Lu Ming smiled. He knew that the core elders were worried about his safety, so he didn't reject them. Ming, you must be careful. Li Ping said worriedly. Mother, don't worry. I'll be back soon. Lu Ming smiled confidently at Li Ping. Seeing Lu Ming's confident smile, Li Ping's worry lessened a little. Not long after, the Liu family gathered their men and headed towards the refined iron mine in the southern part of the Beast Mountain Range under the lead of the core elders. The refined iron mine was the main source of income for the Liu family. Of course, there were also many troops stationed there. In the past, a lone Viper bandit would never have dared to attack the refined iron mine. But it was different now with the Dried Bone Bandits. Rumble. The sound of horses galloping could be heard. The Liu family had mobilized hundreds of men, stirring up a cloud of dust. A huge mountain appeared in front of them. In front of the mountain, there were 300 to 400 men surrounding the entrance. 2 flags were raised high. One had a snake on it, while the other had a skull on it. Ha ha ha! The Liu family has indeed sent reinforcements. Among the bandits, there was a loud laugh. A strong man, riding a tall green scale horse, blocked in front of them. Viper bandits, Dried Bone Bandits. How dare you attack the Liu family? You're courting death. Lu Ming rode on the dark blood wolf and took the lead, shouting coldly. Young master, don't be careless. This man is the second leader of the Dried Bone Bandits. His cultivation has reached the 4th grade martial master. A core elder hurriedly reminded him. When the burly man saw Lu Ming, he was stunned. Then, he turned to the dark blood wolf under Lu Ming. His eyes narrowed. Then, a fiery light flashed. Haha, it seems like there's really no one left in the Liu clan. After beating up the old one, now there's a brat who's still wet behind the ears. Are they all here to die? The second leader of the Withered Bone Bandits sneered and continued. You said that your mount isn't bad. Quickly hand it over, and I'll give you a quick death. Give me a quick death? Lu Ming sneered as he controlled the dark blood wolf and walked forward step by step. How ignorant! I'm ignorant. Don't think that you can scare me just because you have a powerful, demonic beast as a mount. Let's see how I kill you. Go! The second leader of the Dry Bone Bandits roared. He controlled the green scale horse and rushed toward Lu Ming like a gust of wind. The war blade in his hand was like a gust of wind as it slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming sat motionless on the dark blood wolf as if he was frightened. Young master, be careful! The 5 core elders were shocked and shouted one after another. Hahadai! The second leader of the Dry Bone Bandits sneered as murderous intent flashed in his eyes. However, the next moment, the smile on his face disappeared because he saw a sword light that seemed to be faster than lightning slashing toward him. He had no time to dodge at all. He couldn't even react in time, let alone dodge. Then he felt a chill on his neck. The next moment, he saw a headless corpse galloping forward on the green scale horse. Then he was plunged into endless darkness. One slash. Behind him, the 5 core elders of the Lu clan and the rest of the Lu clan were all stunned. The second leader of the Dry Bone Bandits was a 4th grade martial master expert. In their eyes, he was an unreachable existence. However, he was killed by Lu Ming with 1 slash. It had only been a few months, and the young master's cultivation had already reached such a level? That thought appeared in the minds of the Lu clan members. Then their hearts burned with excitement and their eyes were full of anticipation. Lu Ming was already so powerful in such a short period of time. What level could Lu Ming reach in a few years or even decades? They could almost see the rapid rise of the Lu clan. The second leader is dead. The second leader is dead. The Dry Bone Bandits cried out in alarm. Who is it? How dare you kill my second brother? A loud roar came from the Withered Bone Bandits. A burly man riding a leopard rushed out of the crowd with a thunderous roar. Young master, he's the leader of the Dry Bone Bandits. One of the core elders said, just kill him. Following Lu Ming's cold voice, he dashed out from the dark blood wolf, traversed more than 20 meters and landed on the ground. He then stomped heavily on the ground. With a bang, the ground shook and Lu Ming's body shot out like a cannonball. In an instant, he was in front of the leader of the Dry Bone Bandits. How can he be so fast? The leader of the Dry Bone Bandits was shocked. Lu Ming was so fast that he was shocked. Die! The leader of the Dry Bone Bandits roared and slashed with all his might, trying to force Lu Ming to retreat. However, he was in despair the next moment. Whoosh! Lu Ming's sword light was so fast that he couldn't dodge it in time. Puchi! A head flew high and landed in the middle of the Dry Bone Bandits. The entire place fell into silence. Kill! Lu Ming's roar woke everyone up. Kill! Kill! Follow the young master and kill all the bandits. Let's charge together! The 5 core elders roared with all their might. Their faces were flushed with excitement as they rode on their green scale horses and charged towards the Sand Snake Bandits and Dry Bone Bandits. Kill! Follow the young master and kill all the bandits. The rest of the Lu family roared. Hundreds of people roared together, and their morale was high. On the other hand, the Dry Bone Bandits were scared out of their wits after being killed by Lu Ming. They didn't have the courage to resist and retreated. It was chaos. At this moment, a group of people rushed out of the Lu family's refined iron mine, causing the 2 groups of bandits to be even more chaotic. Lu Ming charged into the bandits. His sword light flashed, and rows of bandits were killed. These bandits' hands were all stained with blood and deserved to die. Lu Ming didn't show any mercy. The bandits couldn't resist at all in his hands. He reaped their lives to his heart's content. Wherever Lu Ming passed, a large number of corpses would fall. It was a one-sided battle, and the bandits couldn't resist at all. Soon the area was filled with corpses. 300 to 400 bandits were slaughtered. Ha ha ha! The Sand Snake Bandits and Dry Bone Bandits have been annihilated. Long live the young master! The young master is invincible. Long live the young master! The Lu family members let out thunderous cheers. After a long while, it gradually calmed down. After that, a group of people was left to clean up the battlefield. The 5 core elders led a group of people and returned to the Lu family with Lu Ming. As for the news of this battle, it quickly spread throughout the entire Firestorm City. Countless people were shocked by this news. The first leader of the Dry Bone Bandits and the second leader of the Dry Bone Bandits, who were 5th stage martial masters, weren't a match for Lu Ming and were easily killed by Lu Ming. It was too shocking. The happiest person was Li Ping. The stronger Lu Ming was, the happier she was. After that, the Lu family held a grand banquet. The famous people of Firestorm City came to congratulate them.